morning, Wild Card Wednesday. We've got a great show for you today. Thank you, Anthony Casaro, for bringing us in to the national anthem. Hey, electric guitar just does a wonderful job of that. Hey, big shout out to Ant. He works as deputy up at Upgard High School. We've worked together for many years in the sheriff's office as well. Hey, we got a great day. I'm getting a little bit of a feedback from this guy Patrick over here is sabotaging the show. Patrick, welcome, buddy. What are you doing, brother?
I'm messing around
He's
here.
Messing around.
Keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, keep us on toes. I'm sitting here, getting a little feedback through the headsets. But no, we got a great show today.
We do. We got a Wild Card Wednesday show. It's going to be a little wild, a little interesting, informative. We're going to have some fun per usual.
Yeah, and we got people jumping on already. It's Sharka. Hope you're doing well today.
Morning, sunshine.
Big hugs. Got all that stuff going. Good morning. I hope you're feeling better today. Get well. All right, we got you. So, yeah, we've got just a lot going on today. We've got some great guests. We've got a few that you will know, probably those here locally. We have the one and only Victoria Redstall. She's going to be coming on about 8:15.
Why are you looking at me like that?
No, just because Victoria is like, people know her.
She's interesting.
She's interesting. We have
Very
she's an investigative reporter. She's interviewed several serial killers. She's also known as the animal whisperer. Yeah,
squirrels and
squirrels.
Dove.
The other day, she's driving down the road with Dove in her car, in a panic about trying to save this dove. Which is good that we've got people that
like when
do
doves cry. Who sings
when
that?
Doves, that's Prince.
Good.
I'm
Nice.
kicking butt. So yeah, we have a lot going on. We have Kevin Hennings. Kevin Hennings from down on Marco Island. He's going to tell his story about how he has beat cancer, and he's going to give us the methods that he used to do that. We're going to talk about that. So it's all real good stuff. So
Yeah,
hey,
looking forward to hearing that.
We need a lot of comments today. Again, Sharka, little thank you for us. But yeah, no, it's good. Very, very fun show.
Always fun. That's what we try to do, right?
Yeah, this week's been going by fast. I cannot believe it's already Wednesday.
Big shout out to Drew Steele. I saw Drew Steele Friday night at the Tucker Carlson event, and he mentioned that he watches the 239 live and how he appreciates how we have fun with it.
Yeah,
we don't take ourselves too seriously, and it shows, and that's what we try to do. Have some fun.
And another thing I want to bring out too is listen, if we have people on the show, we don't expect everybody to like everybody who we have on here, right? So don't take it personal. We want people, if they want to come on, get the word out. Listen, we want you to come on, get the word out, let everybody know. Not everybody's gonna, have the best friends and I guess the best people they think that need to be on the show. We just have people that want to bring stuff to the community, and we want to bring interesting people. Okay, we want to bring interesting people, so that's very important. We have a lot of fun. Very important. Yeah. So I like to do a shout out before we get going. Do you want to do a round at the TV, or do you want to wait on that? Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning.
She's here in the studio. There's a water over there for you if you'd like. Just we'll get you on. We're going to pay some bills.
Yeah,
here.
go ahead.
You want to go ahead and do a couple things? We have the one and only, and we really have a lot of a big shout out to Blake Becker. He's very supportive of the 239. He does a podcast here.
He does
built
a podcast?
by Becker.
He does a podcast.
He does a podcast.
Really?
It's actually quite a bit more popular than your podcast, but that's a good thing.
You think so?
I don't know. He does do a podcast. So yeah, built by Becker. Very.
I spent a day in the life of Blake Becker yesterday.
Oh, did you? That must be really interesting.
It was.
And I know he's
a lot going on.
Yeah, he's off with that. So yeah.
All right, guys, let's give a big shout out to our show sponsors, Becker Custom Builders. Blake Becker and his team are always about luxury design, top-notch quality, and giving you the best experience imaginable. Becker Custom Builders are experts in building your dream kitchen, bathroom, or even making your outdoor kitchen area a reality. They will take your plain house and make it into a cozy, welcoming home. So if you're looking to upgrade your space, Becker Custom Builders is the only place to look. They've got you covered. Blake and his team have whipped up the studio in no time, and it's looking great. Remember, contact Becker Custom Builders.
Becker Custom Builders, we know we gotta love them. They are unbelievable. And one thing about Becker Custom Builders is they truly
go in, look, and figure out what they need to fix, and they'll do it on a budget that it's going to work for you. And he'll make some customizations to things to fit your needs.
And a variety, like yesterday went on a couple of job sites with him, and everything from 1,500 foot 2-bedroom condo to 6,000 square feet waterfront property. So he can cover you on any size, and obviously just does a tremendous job. The premier luxury home remodeler in all of Southwest Florida. I think he's coming out to fix your kitchen here shortly too.
Yeah, no, he is. He's going to get the outdoor kitchen. And another one of our sponsors is Clean and Seal Curb Appeal. I know we got a little bit of a live read for that one. So.
Yeah, elevate the elegance of your home with Clean and Seal Curb Appeal. Our premium brick paver ceiling enhances color, adds lasting protection, and delivers a polished, upscale finish. Clean and Seal, bring timeless curb appeal to your home. Shout out to Kevin Wilkinson, one of his companies.
Yeah,
Clean and Seal.
Kevin
curb
does
appeal.
A little bit of everything.
He's a jack of all trades.
Yeah, we got fish window cleaning rolling up in here, but I don't know what that's all about. We never know who wants to sponsor our show. We always have some pretty
red van,
pretty interesting stuff. And then I want a big shout out to Bryce Lawrence, one of our sponsors as well. And I'm going to put up a barcode when we run his commercial. Make sure to get on there, check it out. So much to offer businesses locally, and just a great guy, and he'll get it done. And he will actually go in, take a look at your business, find out where he can save you money, and he's going to probably add about 10% to your bottom line.
This show is brought to you by Vanguard Partners, a consulting agency built for service-based business owners. If you've been giving away control of your success to marketing agencies, coaches, or even your accountant, it's time to take it back. Vanguard Partners was founded by Bryce, a business owner who owns 3 service-based companies himself. He'll teach you how to generate your own leads, create offers customers actually want, and manage your cash, percentages, and key performance indicators so you're not stuck guessing what's next. Visit Now Trade Money Biz Profit to book a free call and get your business back on track.
Very good, very good. Also, a big shout out to T Clinics. Patrick, I think you can verify that these guys, Jeff Delaney over there is doing wonderful things.
Absolutely.
And amazing.
Love Jeff Delaney, T Clinics, proud member.
You get nervous when I get close to you and touch you.
Well, I just get nervous when you touch me.
Yeah, there you go.
Pause.
But, if you can do something with this right here, you're doing good.
Yeah, we're trying. We're getting there. T Clinics USA, big shout out Jeff Delaney and Nuviva Weight Loss as well. A lot of, I'm not going to violate people's HIPAA laws, but a lot of people we know are clients of either or both, and tremendous results. I'm still working on mine, but we're getting there, and we appreciate Jeff Delaney, proud sponsor of not only 239 Live, but Politic and Jira Larry Love. And we're going to be doing a part 2 from T Clinics, the Pat Dearborn special, to be continued with a couple surprise guests. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, that's good. How do you feel with taking your T cycles? You feel better?
Yeah, energy, mood.
You get up early in the morning without the alarm clock and all that stuff.
Most of the time, yes.
Pretty good.
Get up early, go to bed late. Get up early. I'm a machine, Tim.
Yeah,
I'm a machine.
You are. No doubt about it. So, and then very good over there. And then also a big shout out to Paradise Lights.
Yeah.
Holiday and outdoor lighting.
Patrick Dearborn.
Amazing. And Patrick Dearborn in the house.
Question.
We're actually going to be bringing it up everybody here in just a sec. That's on.
It's Wednesday. I can say Patrick Dearborn, so we're good. It should be good.
Yeah, I guess it's good. And then Pat Dearborn, next question.
Love Pat Dearborn.
We got a big shout out to Kevin. Also, Kevin's on too. Good morning, Kevin. How you doing, buddy? We're so glad to have you. And then Michelle, we're going to have your self-fit coming up here in just a second.
Well, Paradise Lights, Corey Adams does a tremendous job. Not just holiday lighting, year-round, indoor, outdoor events. He's doing the giveaway special for Memorial Day weekend for veteran or veterans. So get in contact with Corey. You can find him on his social media. Paradise Lights, holiday and outdoor lighting, tremendous company and great cause. Definitely supports first responders and military. So make sure you go out and support Paradise Lights.
Yep. And also we have Self-It. I actually just took my capsule a little while ago, and everybody asked me, does it really work? And I said, I've been on it about 15 or 16 days. I feel good. I haven't got a cold. So hopefully that's a big contributing for that as well.
Cartwheels.
And so Self-It and Michelle Virgo does that. And make sure to jump on www.getselfit.com. Product is out there. Be glad to tell you a little bit more about it, and check out that website and find out. These
guys are really going to clean the windows right now.
I know these guys are going to blow the windows out here.
Perfect timing.
I don't know what's going to happen with that. We're going to have to figure that out. They might be cleaning. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully they don't make too much noise. But so we'll figure out the windows. We're actually seeing it go here in just a minute, and we're going to have the one and only Victoria up here in about 2 or 3 minutes, and she's ready to roll, I think, in the studio. And one thing is, we're not playing this today, but we do play this from time to time. Can Pat Jira go a whole show without saying the word Pat Dearborn? But today you're good.
I'm good today.
Don't worry about it. So yeah,
this Friday's gonna be tough.
Yeah, this Friday's gonna be tough. Yeah, and then
I don't know why you hate Patrick Dearborn.
I love Patrick Dearborn. That guy, and you keep saying that. I don't know why you keep saying that.
Just messing with you.
Yeah, you just.
You guys tease me because I always mention Patrick Dearborn.
Yeah, no, Pat Dearborn. He definitely impressed the crap out of me the other day with doing his
breath work
he does
pretty
an amazing job at that.
They don't call him the ultimate realtor for nothing.
He is pretty amazing. Now we have this game we play. It's called Stump Pat Jira, and when we play this game, this is a game that we play. So anytime during the show, if you know a music trivia, and I think what is the dates on those? 80s music trivia. If you know a song, if you name the song, he can name the artist who played it. Also, if you throw out a football player that's played since 95 and up, he'll go ahead and tell you what college they played for. And I don't really know why anybody would care about all that stuff, but
I don't know. Commissioner LaCastro was pretty impressed by my knowledge.
It's a big deal.
I'm just saying, Commissioner LaCastro was pretty impressed.
We want to make him feel special, and that's very important. So
that is important.
That's always good. Yeah, but see if we can stump him. But why don't you go ahead and get Victoria ready? Oh, if you do stump him,
what do they get?
If you do stump them, you get to go to the Alamo Gun Range, and I'm going to take myself off here for just a second. But you get to go to the Alamo Gun Range, get one free shooting session at the Alamo Gun Range, and they're amazing over there. Yeah,
or you get a free shirt
and a shirt. Yeah, so
one or the other.
That makes it really good. Yeah, so you get a free shirt. But yeah, so get on there, Alamo Gun Range. If you've never been to Alamo Gun Range, they do a great job over there. It's actually an opportunity to where you can. When I say help the guests get the stuff ready, Pat, you just sit there.
Sorry.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate
I was
it, buddy.
distracted.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, so go over to the Alamo Gun Range and see those folks over there. They do a wonderful job. And Kerry Scott. And he's the GM. And I'll tell you, when you go to the Alamo Gun Range and you shoot over there, it's like a pleasure. You just relax, have a good time. And
they got the lounge, too.
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice lounge.
Yeah.
You're going to do a cigar and poker night, too, coming soon.
They do good. But big time. We have a fun time with. Now we've got Michelle. She's got a whole bunch of information on here. Obviously, Michelle, that's for the comments. I can't put it all up there because it's really long. But Chickabee's on. Yes, good.
Morning, Chickabee.
Paradise Lights has jumped in there. Lois.
Morning, Corey.
Gotta love Lois. Everybody. It looks like we got a pretty good. Meredith jumped on. Good morning. Woo, woo, woo.
Thanks for waking up, Meredith.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Here's a song. Oh, here's a song. Do you know this one? Michelle's got it thrown out there. Still loving you. Still loving you.
Is it REO Speedwagon?
Let us know, Michelle, on that. So, REO. Anyway, well, without further ado, we got the one and only, lovely Victoria Redstall. Victoria, welcome to the studio. This is amazing. Look at you. I got you, investigative journalist.
Good morning. Thank you. Yes, that's one of the things.
You do so much.
I actually do. And it's funny you mentioned Selfit, because this afternoon at my home, Michelle's coming over to do her presentation. Got a bunch of people coming. So text me or message me if you want information of where we're going to do this today at 4:00 at my home.
Wow. So Selfit is coming to your house today.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm one of the brand reps.
Yeah. Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Do you use it yourself?
I do. I think it's wonderful.
What are the benefits that you've seen? I've been on it for like 15 or 16 days. So,
well, I certainly didn't need any more energy. So my energy is just the same as always. I sleep so much better. So much better. I used to be up all night. That's the main thing with it, with me. But it does restore, repair, rejuvenate the cells at the molecular level. So, kudos to Michelle and the product. And it's all made in America. That's what we need to always have, right? Made in America.
Made in America. Yeah. No,
that's China.
Good.
Not China.
You can get it at seat to table, right?
So
right, you get it seat to
table. So we've actually got a lot of people on right now, and I'm sure. Did you share the show? Were you able
I think
to share
I did.
it?
I'm not good at social media at all, so I think I shared it.
Well, that's not true. You're not good at social media.
I go on
live.
I'm
go live.
I'm gonna tag her.
That's all I can do is go live. I don't know how to share.
I tagged you last night on it, Sue, so maybe you can share it. Yeah. So
good. I've got to accept the tag, so that's where I'm difficult. I can do Facebook Lives all the time, but sharing something or doing that is quite difficult. So I hope I've done it.
And I see your Facebook's lives. They're interesting. I mean, anything from squirrel hunting to
doves. You had a dove the other day driving down the road.
I did.
It so concerns me when you're driving and you got this dove.
Is that
you're driving live. And
can you drive
with
a dove?
Birds in your car. You got all kinds of, law enforcement, what the heck?
Well, I had my belt on. I had my belt on. I had at least one hand on the wheel.
Do not let Geico see that.
And I was looking forward, but I had to the dove was getting picked on by a bunch of blackbirds, and nobody was paying any attention. I was leaving a very glamorous store at the time called Walmart, if you've heard of that one.
Yes, very glamorous.
And
yes,
this
I love it.
3 or 4 blackbirds were pecking at the neck of this mourning dove, and it was red raw at the back, and the dove was going like this and like this, and put that car in park. And I was wearing this beautiful long black dress because I'd just come from working, being a spokesmodel demoing tequilas, and I went and just grabbed my workout towel.
What
and
were you demoing?
Tequilas. I was doing Canterra Negra.
At where?
Total Wine and More, right here in Naples, off Airport Pulling. The most fantastic store. If you can't find it in Total Wine and More, you don't need it. It's everything you want is right there.
So you go in there and get a shot of tequila, basically?
Well, I actually tell them all about it and how the 100% blue agave is roasted and then how long it's then aged for to become a reposado, to become an añejo, to become an extra añejo. And the owner was there the other day.
What'd you call him?
Añejo.
What'd you call him?
So the animals, the doves, the squirrels, and things like that.
And bunnies.
You have, and bunnies, you have an innate, and I did call you the
Animal whisperer.
You did, yeah.
And so I saw the whole story. I was witness to the whole story of the squirrel. Where did you carry the squirrel?
What's the squirrel's name?
We all knew you.
Lucky.
We all knew that you carried the squirrel.
I think Britney Spears wrote a song about the squirrel.
I think she did.
Lucky.
I am so lucky. No, the funny thing was when I rescued this little baby that his eyes weren't even open because my Dachshund likes to kill those kind of animals. So I'm afraid to say at the time I didn't have a cage, I didn't have a box, I didn't have anything, and I couldn't leave this squirrel in the house. So I would carry him around in my bra. So I wore a nice big thick sports bra, and I took him to church with me. I took him to my jobs.
And he would just hang out and chill?
Well, he would be, because they sleep a lot.
The squirrels do?
And you can see people are up here commenting.
She could be. I invited you to my home this afternoon if you want to come for a selfie.
Where the squirrel is.
Oh, the squirrel is free.
It's good?
I had him for 2 months. I bought a cage. So he's fine. He's free, and I see him every single day. He's now got a little wife and a baby.
Oh.
So always there's a 3. And he looks at me around the tree.
So Lucky
like
got
lucky.
lucky.
Roxanne. So Lucky
got lucky.
Lucky got
has
lucky.
a family now.
Has a family.
It's got a happy
absolutely
ending.
Wonderful.
Should do a Disney movie about Lucky.
And then my neighbor Andrea, she's actually writing the book. We're just finishing it now, putting the pictures together. So my next door neighbor who shared the experience, like all my friends
There's
who come to my
a book
house.
coming about Lucky?
Yes. I think it's called, very original name, Lucky the Squirrel. It's for children. It's for children.
Sure.
And obviously, Chicky. I'm just trying to keep up with some of the comments. So if I'm not 100% in locked on, but Meredith, we got it. And Meredith, make sure I've got some more of those peeps that I owe you. They're still at my house, so keep putting them in your coffee, and we'll make sure you get those peeps.
Keep dipping them in your coffee.
But what gives you the passion for the animals? And we're going to talk about you being investigative journalist, and you have a passion for interviewing, investigating serial killers, but you also have this passion for animals. Tell us a little bit about why you have that and what that's all about.
Well, I think because of the working on cruise ships, as I have done, especially in the Caribbean, I had a stray dog that I loved in every single port, not just the one I rescued, but the ones in every port. And I saw how it would be so simple if these dogs and cats were spayed and neutered, but they're not, because in the Caribbean, it's like it's third world country.
Right.
And my heart went out to them, and you could feed them only so much, and then they have babies, and it's a vicious cycle. I did see a three-legged dog in Aruba, and I knew I had to get that back home to Naples, which I did. So I do have Sabi, and named after a dear friend of mine who helped me in getting him, my Indian friend in Aruba, who was the manager of Milano. So that's why his name is Sabi. So I have this passion because I've seen how they live on the streets, how they're always so happy. And I think it's also because I chose not to have any children. I chose not to be married, and I chose not to have any children because my life's too exciting.
Now, you've never been married?
Never been married. I've been engaged twice. Never been married out of my choice. And men are wonderful, and I did have to leave them after a year and a half because I was wanting to be back on my own again. I wanted to just live my life without a man always wanting to be with me, and I just wanted to be back with my friends and back. Anyway, let's not go into that personal side of myself.
That's okay.
No, so that's the only reason I didn't get married. Maybe I will one day, but it's not what I'm looking for. But
Mary Jane, what it all cracks up to be. Trust me.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. So many of my friends are divorced, or they're not married, or they're cheating on their spouses, or they're in what do they call that over here? An open marriage. That's like the worst. That's when a man's not attracted to you anymore, has no respect for you, and said, let's bring someone else in. I mean, that's what it really is. But anyway, I don't agree with any of that. None of that nonsense, threesomes, foursomes, tensomes. I don't even know anything about it. And I lived in
Diddy
LA.
parties.
Yeah, Diddy parties. Something I never went to those
You
things.
ever been to a Diddy party?
Never been to
LA?
it. No, I was mixing with some good crowds. I mean, I mixed with the conservatives, the Republicans, and those few of us in the industry that really are conservatives.
Sure.
So that was what I did in Hollywood. But no, I rescued animals, I think, because of not having the children of the family unit.
Yeah.
I'm able to think, well, who else is going to do the job but me? And it seems that I end up with this an animal that's wounded often, and I'm now always going to keep a cage. Amazon is wonderful because I'm always getting a new box, different size, different opening.
Right.
So I've got boxes, I've got food. It's like if there's something that I could rescue, bring it to Victoria's house.
They sell cages on Wayfair too, don't they?
I don't go to Wayfair so much.
Good.
You're telling me something new?
No,
I don't
that
know,
was
but
a subliminal thing.
But not everybody's got that passion. And the thing about it is like, I think most people, 95% of all people, want to do the right thing for animals, but to go ahead and open up your home and to put so much care and love into these animals. And then you have rabbits is a big thing too. Like you can actually go to rabbits and rabbits will come to you.
I did this morning. I stand there in a certain community where I used to live 3 years ago. And I go, Mashi, Mashi. I'm in a dress. This is this morning. And I go,
Can you imagine her neighbors like out there watching? Okay, here she comes.
He said,
here comes Victoria.
What do you feed the rabbits? Carrots?
Bananas. That's the hidden secret.
Bananas, huh?
They love
They
it.
like bananas.
But no diabetes. So I go every other day.
Yeah.
This morning, some people who didn't know me, which is a surprise, said, are you okay? Have you lost your dog? I said, oh, no. I'm actually looking for my wild rabbit. They said, what? No, it's a wild rabbit. She'll come. Just give me 1 second. She'll come out of nowhere. And suddenly, you mean a wild rabbit? I said, just you wait. Hold your horses. Mashi, where are you? There she is. Look, there she is. She's coming. Come. And she jumps into my hands.
I don't believe you.
Weight.
Has anyone ever called 911 on you? You're floating around in the
I don't know about that, but I think they think,
I want that on video. I've seen it on video.
You've seen a lot, Tim.
You should bring Lucky to the studio.
I know, but he plays now. He doesn't trust me not putting him in his cage, so he stays up.
He's got his family now, so he's
got his family.
he's out and
Let's
about.
not get too crazy over here.
Why?
In the studio.
We've had cold plunges. Patrick Dearborn going underwater for 60 seconds, and we can't have a squirrel running around.
No, I know. I get it, but if it gets loose in here, how are we gonna leave for the day? We just can't take off. Squirrels.
Victoria's got to train though.
So tell us a little bit, Victoria, about your days out in Hollywood. You acting, getting involved with I know you were involved really heavily with the LA Sheriff's Office. Yeah, or would be what was it?
Not LAPD, LA Sheriff. I did fly with LAPD, but I was always flying and on ride-alongs with Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
Los Angeles County.
My world, my heart, my brothers, my sisters. It's my Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department since the age of 20, because I came to America at 19.
If you do a little search for Victoria, you'll see some interesting stuff. What was your big claim to fame with the helicopters and things like that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh, where did that all begin? It began with the Sheriff's Department helicopter, because one of the evenings that I wasn't on a ride-along, the helicopter was orbiting because there was a barricaded suspect in West Hollywood, and one of my deputies, and I say my deputies because sergeants say my deputies, lieutenants say my deputies, these were my brothers and sisters. They were all older than me, they were married, they were just, I mean, they took care of me like I was their baby sister. And they said, come on, Victor. I was in my night pajamas, my night dress, or pajamas, and they said, you can come inside around the yellow tape. And then the helicopter was going around and around looking for this guy, or trying to get the guy out of the house, and the spotlight just shone on me, just like stayed there. And I was thinking, we don't get these things in England. We don't get the big sheriff cars or the cops with guns, and you've got this helicopter. And I was mesmerized. I mean, I'm already mesmerized by what my deputies would be driving, and the guns and everything and the excitement, but I saw this helicopter and I thought, this is the most incredible machine in the world. I mean, I've never known anything like it. And they're able to talk from there on the PA system. Cutting a long story short, they ended up hovering over me, and I would run to my balcony and I would blow kisses. I love you guys, because they came to see me. Only Sheriff. At that time, it was only Sheriff. So it was the green and gold MD 520 and MD 600. That's the McDonnell Douglas 500 and 600 helicopter would orbit whenever they were in the sky. But then it turned into the news. Then I became the helicopter girl. Then I got sued for $100,000. Oh, but before that, I started to fly with them. So I was on ride-alongs in the sheriff cars at the weekends with LA County sheriffs, and we would be rolling unauthorized code 3 one way. The deputies are like, why is Victoria rolling that way? There's no code 3. Did we miss something? Oh, that's Victoria. She's in the car with Sergeant Griffith. Oh, everyone knows Victoria loves rolling code 3, so he's rolling unauthorized code 3. I mean, these were the days when cops could be cops, and we were going in. We didn't have a search warrant. They would kick the door in. I'd end up in another investigation. Did you kick the door in? I said, no, the deputies never kicked the door in. No, they opened the door.
Were you involved in the Rampart scandal?
No, that's police, not sheriff. I'm sheriff all the way.
I'm just saying, kicking in doors without warrants.
LAPD's not sheriff.
No, I know.
They're good people, but not sheriff.
Yeah, so let's talk. So you got all that going on. So you became famous.
I became famous when I was doing the weather on the morning news. I did, and then I did a soap opera, and I did MasterChef. So there were those ones that I was recognized for. I wasn't famous for helicopters, but they did make a movie about me.
Oh, did they?
And a music video, yeah, because it turned into the sheriffs getting into so much trouble that they couldn't pick me up at the West Hollywood station anymore, because the lieutenants are like, they're landing for that English girl again. So they picked me up at different stations. I had 109 Adam. I'd have to drive to Malibu, and they picked me up there. And then I went to the headquarters. And it's funny because the captain who had to, get these guys grounded for keep picking Victoria up. He's a friend of mine on Facebook now. He lives with his family out in Washington. The captain, I said, Captain DiGiano, I thought you hated me. He said, no, I just had to keep my deputies, my pilots.
Yeah, you got to keep those guys.
I couldn't
keep
keep
them in
them.
line.
I can tell you, working in an administrative position, it's a nightmare to deal with somebody who wants to, and the deputies obviously like to have the entertainment. So they're flying their helicopter around. And again,
and I'm in the backseat.
So let's talk a little bit about
hold on.
Go ahead.
What music video and song was made about you?
Well, it was the Helicopter Girl video, but it was with the Shaggy song, Girl, You're My Angel. So they put it together as that. So it was used different things. I don't know, but they got licensing for it. But it was, that video came before me. That music video came before the helicopter. So they used that video in wherever they marketed the movie. So that's where it came from. So they got the rights from Shaggy.
Okay.
Or Shaggy's people.
No, that's
Girl, You're My Angel. You're from up above. That one.
Sing it.
Can't sing.
Sing it, Victoria. Sing it. Oh, I've seen you sing. You did. I've seen you do a little karaoke.
Karaoke?
Before. Yeah.
What is Victoria?
One of my campaign events. Yeah,
do a little Def Leppard?
No, actually,
Who's
Meatloaf. I would do anything for love.
You got it.
I'd run right into hell and back.
We might get copyrighted because it sounds so much like
the original.
I mean, it's so much like the original.
What part of England are you from?
I am from the south. I'm from a place called Surrey. I'm from Esher in Surrey, right by Sandown Park Racecourse, 8 minutes from Hampton Court Palace. Oh, you are?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's from the south. It's where Holiday was filmed. I haven't seen the movie, but it's where Holiday was filmed.
Tell them how you met me and jumped in front of my patrol car.
Yikes.
Alba.
Alba, she's a deputy sheriff. She's known me 24 years. Tell him how you met me.
Alba, good to have you
Alba,
on.
I thought you were talking about you. I was like, I didn't see you in a patrol
No,
car.
I didn't see you in a patrol car. I worked for 31 years, but you never saw me in a patrol car.
Alba's known me. God, she just came to stay with me.
You were never in a patrol car?
I was in a patrol car,
Many.
but not when I knew.
Gotcha.
Victoria.
Yes, so no, oh my God, how I mean, it's so funny because her husband now was her boyfriend then, Cliff Yates, who was also a comedian. He was a sergeant in West Hollywood, and he kept saying, oh, my girlfriend's going to be coming here to be a deputy. My girlfriend's coming. So months and months go by. And then I would walk to my gym, as I did every day. Yes, we are the best law enforcement in the world. Oh, I'm good symbols, Alba. I'm so glad you're watching.
Part of Los Angeles?
She was deputy sheriff, LA County Sheriff. So she's one of the people.
Nice.
Every Los Angeles County Sheriff has known me over 25 years because I've been here 30 years. So they've known me 28 years.
Thank you for tuning in, Alba.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. And so he said that she's coming. He described Alba to me. And I see a sheriff car with one of my deputies in it. Looks like a female, looks like a gorgeous female with blonde hair. So I stood in the street as opposed to walk on the sidewalk. I jumped into the street. And she said she hadn't recognized me. So she comes up, what's going on? I said, are you Alba Yates? Yes, I am. And then that's how it turned. And then when she and I started going on ride-alongs, and she and I had so much fun. Oh my gosh, my life with Los Angeles County Sheriffs has been amazing.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little tired right now because you got so much going on, which is good. Which is
got
good.
The energy.
Self-fit.
What's your favorite police movie or series of all time?
Well, Cops. I like the real life Cops.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Shawshank Redemption and Silence of the Lambs are my favorite movies because it's Silence of the Lambs, stories of my life.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of that here in a little bit.
Why are you looking at me like that for when talking about Silence of the Lambs?
Well,
give me an evil look.
Yeah, well, I don't know what goes on in Pat's personal life too much, but no. So you're out in L.A. You came here from England. Mm-hmm. How did that? I mean, how the hell did you get from England?
And how old were you when you left England?
I left England at 18, right before I turned 18.
Strong accent.
To my very English, but I lived in Spain.
Spain.
My favorite country in the world is Spain.
A lot of people love Spain.
My heart. Mi corazón es en España siempre. But I lived in Spain. I was plotting my escape from England at 17.
Okay.
So 18, I was a nanny in Spain. I also did modeling as well as being a nanny. And then I ended up living with the gypsies, the real, pure, not people who steal, but the gypsies of the land. I had a corrugated iron roof. I had 2 boys and a baby in my bedroom. There was no hot running water. We bathed once every 2 weeks with the kids, all of us. Nakedness was a normal thing. And I was 18, and I was looking after 7 adults and 6 children, and it was hard work.
As a nanny.
And there was no English spoken. And that's where I learned the Spanish, the pure Spanish from Spain with the Spanish people.
So do you speak Spanish fluently?
Not fluently. I used to speak much better. Right, But
you know that you can get through.
Yes, and yes. And just to clarify, Spanish people can only come from Spain. So everyone else
is
Latin.
Yeah, this is a big thing with Victoria. She takes really exception if you sell, some Colombian or
Spanish.
They're Spanish. She gets very upset.
They're not Spanish. They're Colombian, which is a wonderful country.
Or your
wife's
from
Latin. Yeah, your wife's from Colombia.
Don't say they're Spanish. Okay.
They're not Spanish. No, Spanish people are from Spain. Full stop. Immokalee is full of Latins, Hispanics. None of them are Spanish. Full stop.
Well, they could be, but
a Spaniard wouldn't even necessarily leave Spain. Why would you leave Spain in the first place and then head to Immokalee?
Yeah, I've had like.
What's wrong with Immokalee?
No, Immokalee's great. I went there last week for the first time. I felt like I was in Mexico.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of
nice people out there. Great Mexican food.
That is true.
Want the best Mexican
authentic
food,
Mexican food out there.
So let's go ahead. Let's delve into your investigative reporter lifestyle. When I say lifestyle, I think for years basically that's what you did, and you have. I don't know what the proper word is, but you have this innate ability to interview people that have killed serial killers. Tell us a little bit about that. You got 4 books. I know you've been on several TV shows and
yes. If you want to see, these are the 2 I wrote on my own.
I'm gonna go ahead and bring those up a little bit. Just a second here, Victoria, so I can get this.
And how could they get those books? Can they? Are they
Victoria,
on Amazon?
over this way?
Okay, you can actually purchase them on Amazon.
Yeah.
If you put my name in, and I did not want my picture on the back, but my publisher insisted upon it.
No,
so.
I think you should have it on.
So this is the best book. The first book I wrote is on 5 different serial killers, and how it all began was when I was 11 in England. We did have family friends that were murdered by a mass murderer. I mean, it was a big thing because in England they don't carry guns and cops don't carry guns. And this
Yeah.
man, he had a gun. It was Nick Perkins was like a second father to me. His kids were like my brothers and sisters that I never had. But I was 11 years old and this was unheard of. So it was major. And I was at boarding school at the time. So it took a toll on me emotionally. And from then I used to study books and study newspaper articles of serial killers, mass murderers, never thinking I would meet one. Flash forward. In my mid-20s, I'm doing commercials and infomercials, and I was a regular spokesmodel for various companies. One of the production companies that I was working with said, Victoria, we're going to do something totally different, and we're going to do a series called Inside the Mind of a Serial Killer. Would you like to be the host? And I said, I would love to, but I don't want to go on camera. This time I would like to actually go into the prisons, into the death rows. I want to be on the other side of the camera. I really mean that. I don't want my face with a serial killer when I've had such a great glamorous career of modeling and acting and hosting and journalism. I didn't want that. So they said, well, you go out and you find a serial killer and we will get you to, interview him off camera. So it would always be, I'd be in the credits, but I wouldn't have my face on it. I did just that. I went to my LA County Sheriff deputies and friends because they run all the jails. And I said, do you have any serial killers in the LA County jail, Orange County jails? Because that's sheriff's jurisdiction, not police. And they looked for me. There was at that time nobody. So I branched my horizons, and one of my LA County friends, sheriff friends, knew someone in San Bernardino County, Brian Fratt. If you're watching, Brian, yes, thank you for everything that happened. I know you got in a bit of trouble for what we did, but so Brian, he's retired.
Seems to be the common theme there, Victoria.
I know. Brian he was wonderful, man. And he'd never been in trouble in 25 years there. And then he got me in on a Sunday. And I thought, let's go in on a Sunday. Because there was a serial killer there called Wayne Adam Ford. Let's go into the San Bernardino County Jail because he's in trial, headed to death row. And there's a real serial killer. So I said, let's go in on a Sunday. I know that lieutenants and captains aren't around on that day. So we go in. He takes me in to the ADSEG unit. An area you do not go. That's not the area you go when you're on a tour of the jail. So I went on this tour of the jail like I hadn't toured many jails before, but I only wanted to get to that ADSEG unit. And the guy in the pod, the deputy in the pod, said, you want to see Ford? And Brian said, yeah. Or Deputy Fratt said, yes. So they said, Ford, hey, A17, come out. Somebody's here to see you. And I am feeling sick. My hair was tied back, no makeup. A jacket done up to here because I knew he cut women's breasts off. Ooh. And he's coming down the stairs. I'm feeling sick. I'm feeling like I am living in Silence of the Lambs right now. And he comes down the stairs and he comes right to the screen. So he says, hi, what's your name? And Brian's standing there and the guy in the pod. And I'm thinking, oh, I've got a serial killer asking my name. I feel sick. I'm going to put on my best American accent. My name is Claire. Claire. He said, Claire? Yeah. What's your last name? He said, Smith. And I said, my name is Claire Smith. He said, where are you from, England or Australia? Australia. Everything. I said Australia.
Yeah, you don't want a serial killer to know.
No, and Deputy Fratt said, Ford, any information you want about it, come to me. Well, that's when he was delivering when I was writing to him saying, can I interview you? He was putting all that through the food tray. Of course, you're not supposed to do that. It's got to go through the system. Any time you write to a serial killer, especially an ADSEG unit, it has to be cleared by the deputies who oversee all the mail. What if I was dealing with a gang member? Well, he was putting it through the food tray. So a little bit of trouble happened there, but it was all solved.
Yeah,
and he's happily retired.
That would be
a dear friend of mine. But anyway, so I ended up saying, Wayne, you don't talk to anyone but me. But I didn't want the serial killer to know my name, Redstall, and he'd find out I'm a model, I'm an actress, a TV show, all that. So he said, your name's not Smith. That's the name of my attorney. That's the name that was the name of the judge.
Everybody else in the United States.
Yeah. And that's why I said it. That's because I wanted to figure a typical name because Redstall, I'm the only one in America. So he said, I said, my name's Claire Smith. Well, my middle name is Claire. But anyway, so I said Smith. And then in the trial, the judge was Judge Michael Smith. And he's the only one who knew my real name. And then, of course, the defense didn't know my name because they said I went into the jail on a fake ID. I didn't, because it's a very Hispanic area, so they have about 10 names. Jose Gonzalez, something. So I went in as Victoria Claire. Was not a lie. I just never said Redstall. So the serial killer stumped who's visiting me, somebody called Victoria Claire. The defense didn't know who was visiting their client, so they put me on the stand. And Judge Michael Smith said, I'm afraid, Miss Smith, you're going to have to state your real name for the jury. And then, of course, every paper, every magazine, every TV show, the model and the serial killer, the actress and the serial killer. And they made this. The fake news wasn't the fake news back then in 2006. But believe me, I was a victim of the fake news 10 years before our great president. I was a victim in 2006.
So let's talk about the real thing. Like, so you obviously have the desire to interview somebody who is a serial killer, or you did, and I find that intriguing as well. But tell us why you did that. I mean, because some people will look at it like, I can't believe she's, wanting to interview these. Are you wanting to figure out what's going through their minds, or
Yes.
or what's that intriguing
I
point?
wanted always to, how do you stop a monster becoming a monster? I mean, every one of us is an innocent child at the age of 18 months old, 3 years old, 6 years old, possibly.
Do you believe that though?
I do believe that they are.
Everybody starts as a base, and
I
then
really do.
they're basically the way they've
They're
grown up
formed.
and who they're formed,
Yeah.
or do you think that
They're not born evil. I don't think any of us are born evil. I think it's created. And out of all the serial killers I've met and interviewed,
give us your thoughts on that too? There's a lot of people. Actually, we got a lot of people watching right now.
I was.
So do you feel that? Put your thoughts in on the comments, and if you have a question for Victoria, are
So you're not born
monsters
evil, basically.
born evil, or they created and groomed and grown into that?
I
Because you
believe
got you got family members, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got siblings that grow up in the same family, same structure. One's a serial killer, one's not. I mean,
There is this lethal cocktail. I would always say is a lethal cocktail. So, for example, somebody can grow up getting abused and beaten and become a drug addict, and they're not a serial killer, or they don't turn into any kind of a killer. But that same person has some kind of a weakness, and then the devil gets in you. Because a lot of people who are good people, but they have a weakness. You'll notice there's one person here in town. I think she went off to a mental asylum for a while. I always try to be kind to her, but she had this thing about her because you could see the devils in her. I don't know whether she was exercised or I don't know what it was, but she would go to church all the time.
I know her too. No, I'm just
You do. I think you do. And I've
won't
always tried to be nice.
mention
But the devil, it's like Richard Ramirez. I met the Night Stalker. I met him as well, and he recoiled. He recoiled when I actually met him. He wanted to, because I could see all this evil coming from him, and I just looked at him. And good will always overpower evil. So I think they're created, and I think there's just more of a weakness possibly in, let's say, twins. One becomes a serial killer and one doesn't. That's a rarity. It does happen. But that one that does, let's say they had the same abuse, the same brain injury. That's another thing. Maybe one of them had a brain injury and didn't. This is the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is the emotional part of the brain. Once that's damaged and you've had abuse, all bets are off. There's no control in your emotions. So it could be something simple as that.
What do you think about the Menendez twins?
I don't think they should be released.
I don't think they should be released?
Not at all. I think they're liars. I think absolutely not.
You don't think none of that stuff happened that they said happened?
I
Abuse
really don't
and
think
such?
so. If
No?
they did,
Really?
they wouldn't have killed their mother as
I
well.
agree.
They'll never release them.
100%.
Really?
Yeah,
Do
good.
you think they fabricated it?
I think they basically were fighting for their life not to go to prison for the rest of their lives. So they come up with whatever
Great.
story. And
But why kill the parent? Because
sorry.
I didn't follow
Yeah,
that closely.
it was a money issue.
Money,
I think
yeah, money.
those kids were little
Entitled
bastards, if you want to call it. And I think they killed their parents because they didn't care for them, and they felt that, hey, we do this,
and
we're
then
going
they
to be
just-
rich for the rest of our lives.
I got
The
you.
things that they did afterwards, immediately following, is to me is a tail sign that, hey, listen, these kids had no remorse that I can see.
Right.
Now they do.
Yeah.
35 years later, because they've been
Sure.
sitting in, or however long it's been. It's been a while, right?
Have you followed any of this Diddy stuff?
A little bit.
Hey, what do you think about it?
Oh, well, I think he did all of it, actually. But I am sick and tired of all these men. That sleazy men. He's sleazy. The guy, Epstein.
Epstein.
Then there's another one. They're all sleazy. But let me tell you what's worse than that. The whores. It's very simple. If you open your legs, if you fly to an island like the Epstein Island, you know damn well what you're doing at 16. I knew what I was doing at 15. I kept my legs closed till my mid-20s. Mid-20s. Yes, I've kissed a few men in my life, quite a few, and Tim was there for one. No, it wasn't Tim.
I cannot confirm or deny.
We will not talk
anything.
about that one. But,
Did kiss me,
but
but-
sleeping with, you sleep with a bunch of men, you're a whore. So these are a bunch of whores that would go there. These women knew exactly what they're doing. And I say women because I'm not calling them ladies. I'm not calling them girls because that's what I am. They're women. They open their legs. They deserve it. But they've got to stop raking through the coals. These poor men, including Epstein.
Yeah,
He's dead.
but you also, maybe someone went intention of going to a party and possibly they were drugged too. So I always try to play devil's advocate and look at both sides. So maybe some of them had the intention, I'm going to a party, and then someone's putting their cocktail, and next thing you know, they might not know what they're doing. But I can see both sides. So I
Yes,
definitely
I would agree with you. I was going to say that next, actually. If someone's been drugged and then raped, they were raped.
I think there was females that went there knowingly participated, but there quite possibly could have been females that, went to a party just thinking they're going to a party. Next thing you know, something's possibly put in their drink allegedly. And,
That is true. But that is true. And I will say, I think that, a lot of what he did is bad. Obviously, it's all sleazy.
Absolutely. But it's kind of, this has kind of been known about Diddy having these crazy parties for 20 plus years. How did it all of a sudden become such a big issue? I don't know if he, pissed off someone big along the lines, because all of a sudden, it got put in the spotlight. So it's just very interesting. And, some of the charges, it was a lot of stuff crazy and freak offs, but, to make, that $50 million bail and not be able to make that bail when other people have done probably harder crimes and been able to get out for less. It's just very interesting. And I think the trial starts in May. So
I'll be watching that.
Well, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, a RICO charge, one-man RICO, that's unheard of.
Well, the thing is, I think there's a lot more to it that we probably don't know below the surface. But, I mean, people are coming out of the woodwork because they see dollar signs as well. So
that's
I think
that's a
problem.
Yeah. All of a sudden,
and
now
then,
20 years later, you
know, and what happens is, I think once the cat gets out of the bag, everybody kind of like says, "Okay, now's my chance." And then I better say something because I want a little piece of this pie, and I don't even know what's left in P. Diddy's account. I mean,
it's drying up. Low. I'm sure he's still got some money, but it's definitely.
But Alba says the Mendez brothers were terrible, entitled sons.
Yeah,
it's a disgrace that the Cuban Americans, poor parents. Yeah, I mean, think about having kids. Your own kids kill you.
I know.
It's
That's
crazy.
the worst. Alba actually is Cuban. And I say Cuban, really Cuban, meaning born in Cuba and spent most of her as a kid in Cuba before she came here. So she's Cuban, not Cuban blood.
And she did say that she is a Spaniard. She's considered a Spaniard. So
she's definitely got, she's got 100% Spanish blood. Alba does. And she's born in Cuba. So she's Cuban, Spanish blood, and now American.
Shout out to Alba. Thank you for tuning in this morning. She out in LA?
Thank you so much. We got a lot of folks.
She's actually moved from LA to the other coast.
Speaking of which, what brought you to Naples?
Oh, can I tell the story about that last straw?
No, you can't.
Please. It's kind of funny.
That was called a segue, Victoria.
I mean, after my successful careers, my father had Alzheimer's, so I moved back in with my parents and I went out to sea for a few months to work on cruise ships and came back. And it's just gotten to the point where California became so Democrat, so high taxes. The liberals were just overrunning the place. And
when did that happen? Because, you had Ronald Reagan was a governor of California, and so it was always lean more Democrat, but not crazy liberal. When did that really take place where it just went so far?
2012. 2013.
So before then, it was still kind of somewhat moderate, you would say?
Somewhat moderate. Yeah, but I used to work at the San Francisco Convention Center, and I was always stepping over the homeless people that were going to the bathroom in the streets in San Francisco. Then LA got really bad, and the homeless people in West Hollywood, when I was 19 and came to America, I had the homeless people. They were in West Hollywood a lot. I was so frightened of these homeless people, the really mental people. And I couldn't understand why they were on the streets. But I never connected that being a Democrat thing. Yeah. Now I can connect the dots.
Well, I think there was an incentive for people to move to, especially San Francisco, because they give out free money, basically free benefits. They were giving out, I don't know, $600 a week or something.
Right.
Come to San Francisco, you can be, we'll pay you to be homeless, basically.
That's true. And now they're doing that in LA. Yeah. So, and there's always been a Skid Row. So there's always been homeless people.
Yeah, down in LA,
I don't know why they can't just take a fire hydrant every morning at 5 a.m. and just clean the whole street. But it's simple. No one's going to die. You just clean the streets. They're going to soon get enough.
Literally.
But what happens is they allow it. It's erosion, right? So what happens is you let one or two people do it. Then you got 4. And then 4 goes to 8.
It just gets out of control.
It gets out of control. Then you can never go back. Because it makes it very difficult to go back, I should say. I know Rudy Giuliani in New York, he basically, through the broken window theory, along with the NYPD and a lot of wonderful men and women, they actually cleaned up the city. And then what happened was after he left, the city was super solid for a while.
Yeah.
It stayed, and then it went back to where it is today
Yeah,
through.
What was the governor that messed that up? Or not the governor, the mayor.
You had
because Bloomberg did a good job of maintaining.
Cuomo was the governor.
Governor,
and
no,
then he was supported by
De Blasio. Yeah,
De Blasio. I know you're a big fan of him, but De Blasio. But he would basically he was. I was talking to some of the members of the NYPD, and they said that they would spray paint and put graffiti all over the place, and not gang graffiti. It would be, anti-government graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, they would hire police officers to stand and watch and protect these people, to spray paint it again. And when they had to paint it over and spray paint it again, and it was just in a big OODA loop. And it's crazy. And it's basically, it's changed back. Now, I think Mayor Adams has kind of come up and had a little wake-up call.
He's awakening
when the government came after him, and he's like, "Hey, no." And then I think he's kind of said, "Okay, we're going to do some things differently."
Yeah.
And I believe he a lot of people have actually had a wake-up call.
But we digress about you moving to Naples.
Yeah, we're sorry about that.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
No, I asked the question about when California became a liberal.
When I had to give up working on cruise ships for a period of time, I worked for our congressman in California. So he, our Republican congressman, Mike Garcia, a great guy. I helped in getting him in twice in 2020, at the March special election, and then November. That was when I knew I could just leave and go anywhere. So I said, "Mommy, you pick a place. Just throw a dart at the map." And she started with Arizona and Texas. I said, "That's fine. We can move there. I'll make friends anywhere I go." And then she said, "Well, the heat's going to be the same kind of dry heat. I want to be with somewhere where I don't have to have such dry heat." So she said, "How about Florida?" I said, "Florida, that's great. Alba and Cliff are over there, plenty of people. And let's move." She goes, "No, I want to go to the west coast of Florida." I said, "Mommy, there is no west coast of Florida. Look at the map. They've got only an east coast." She said, "Look at the map. There is the west coast." I said, "Wow, there's a west coast of Florida." I've never said I'm smart. Okay, I'm really pretty dumb. I haven't passed an exam in my life, so don't expect me to know a map. So I said, "Oh, really? There's a west coast. Then let's go." She said, "How about Fort Myers, Naples?" I said, "Anywhere, as long as it's conservative," because we knew we were going to go to a conservative state. All three of us, because my father we looked after because of the Alzheimer's. Anyway, we picked Naples. But the final straw, when I said we're going to definitely move, let's go as soon as possible, was when I hadn't been to a doctor for a number of years. So I thought I'll just have a regular routine check. So there I go into the doctor's office in Santa Clarita to fill out the application. I go in. I could have been in Tijuana. There's every Hispanic person, with all the kids and all talking Mexican. Not Spanish, because that's from Spain. So they were speaking Mexican, and I'm getting to the counter, screaming kids. And I took the application, and they said, "Are you male, female, or something binary, or something? And I wrote, cross out, disgusting. Binary. I didn't even know what binary means. I still don't. Disgusting. Next one, are you gay, straight, bisexual, pansexual, something straight? I said, I crossed it out. Disgusting. And then there was another question or something like that, or prefer not to answer. Are you, male, female? I said that one. Then on the back, it's all written in a Hispanic language, why? We're in America. Why have anything in Hispanic language? I crossed that out when it comes to voting too. So anyway, they said, "Could you take a pee in the cup and go to the restroom?" And I said, "Absolutely."
With whatever organ you have.
Exactly. Well, I know I have an innie. I know that you two have outies. I haven't seen either of them, but I believe you have outies because I have an innie. And anyway, so I take my cup to go to the restroom. I couldn't find the restroom. Where's the ladies' room? I'm looking everywhere for the ladies' room. There was nothing. There really wasn't. And I thought, this is getting ridiculous. There were all these kids screaming, and I'm trying to find the restroom in this doctor's office. So I thought, well, I'll just look for it around here. I went around, no restroom, no ladies' room, and I go around and I see an office door open. And it was dark in there, and I thought, oh, this is great. Thank God I'm wearing a dress, as I normally do. I take the cup. I held it right there. I aimed perfectly.
This is a family should know.
Not a drop on the carpet. Perfect. It looks like water. Everything's perfect. Someone comes in behind me and says, "What are you doing in here?" I said, "You asked me to take a pee, and I was headed to a restroom, but there is no ladies' room here." They said, "It's over there." I said, "There is no over there. You take this cup of pure pee, and you're going to find out there's nothing wrong with me. You take this, and now you show me where you say the ladies' room is." They said, "It's over there." I said, "That says all gender. How can it be all gender? There are only two genders, male or female. I don't mind using a unisex, but there's no such thing as an all gender. So you show me a ladies' room, and I'll pee again."
Pure
And I
P.
thought they were going to call the cops on me. And I'm like, yeah, call the cops, because all the sheriffs know me well. But they know me in a good way, not in a bad way. Call the cops on me. But they didn't. So I gave them the
Roger,
and-
we got a lady over here that's failing to go pee in the proper restroom.
Right, so-
Could we have, could we come code, please?
The key word there is pure P.
Pure P. And I go right
100%.
home. I said, Mummy, we're getting out of here as soon as possible. So if it's the west coast of Florida, let's make plans. I'll go out and look for a home for us. And we ended up in Island Walk. That's how we got here. And I just wanted to get hooked up with all the Republican parties.
You
and I
came
did.
to Freedom Town, USA. And do you know who the mayor of Freedom Town, USA is?
The mayor of Freedom Town?
Yeah.
You mean Patrick Dearborn?
Yeah.
Patrick
Sure
Dearborn.
is.
Yes, he's the mayor of the town.
He
Yes,
is. We love
absolutely.
Patrick Dearborn.
Absolutely. You and him together. You're
I
the
don't know
two
about
men.
that, yeah.
You're mayor interim. What do they call it?
The vice mayor.
Yeah, pro tem.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Patrick Jira
And Patrick.
and Patrick
The two
Dearborn.
Patricks.
Patrick's running
The
Naples.
double P's going at it. Yeah. So you're very active in Collier County, in the Democratic Party. I mean, the Republican Party. What? You know, obviously we know that conservative values, things like that. What makes you so strong with the Republican Party here in Collier County? What?
To save this country, the country that I respect so much, the country that's given me so much, the country that I'm so grateful to.
Yeah.
I want to keep fighting for it to stay good. I mean, this is Naples now is how probably California was, as you said, 30 years ago when Reagan, I don't know how many years ago that was, but when Reagan was in power.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful county kept very safe by Sheriff Rambosk with such low crime rates.
Yeah.
I've done ride-alongs in this town. They've been fantastic. But it's not like the ride-alongs I did in Los Angeles, which is every other person's a crazy person, a
Right.
homeless person, someone. It was awful and on drugs. Here, it's kept really clean and conservative. And very rarely do you see homeless people on the street. If I do, I honk the horn at them, tell them, you need to get off the street.
Don't put your sign out in front of Victoria.
Panhandlers.
How do you actually handle that when you see a panhandler?
Well, what I had an idea of, I forget which girlfriend it was of mine that we were going to stand out there together. Was it Meredith? No, it was one of my girlfriends here. We're going to stand out there and say, these people have been bussed in. They are wealthier than us, or they're making more money than
The
us.
panhandlers?
I was going to stand out there with a sign with a girlfriend. I forget who it was. If you're tuned in now, can you tell me who it was? So anyway, I wanted to stand outside where they're standing, be in front of them and say, this guy's making more money than I am, or this money makes more money
Yeah,
than
I
us.
mean, we've heard that from.
They're bussed in.
You think
Hi,
they're bussed
Drew.
in? Good morning, Drew. We got to get
Good
get
morning,
you on,
Drew.
I gave Drew a messenger, Drew.
Yep.
I gave you a. We apologize. It's been great.
We're going to get
because we
Drew
have
on here very soon.
A lot of
Drew's
fun
running
with
for
Drew to come
82nd
on.
District.
Yeah.
He's
Yep.
running for Lauren Mellow's seat,
So-
and he will be fantastic
Absolutely.
in that seat.
He said
Got
you
our
and your
support.
mother are awesome, and I will say that too.
Love him.
Adrian's great.
And Chicopee said Lois Bowen should have been the mayor.
Oh, yeah, I saw
Lois,
that.
we
Lois
love
Bowen's
Lois.
the founder.
Let's put that up. Lois
Governor,
Bowen should have been mayor, or should be
Senate,
the mayor.
Congress, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, Lois Bowen's.
It's not too late.
Great.
Lois and Wayne are the heroes of Naples.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of them. And you, Patrick, and the mayors.
No,
but,
no.
the heroes.
Yeah, and obviously, we want to keep America free. We want to keep Collier County in being fortunate enough to be able to be on that side where our goal was really to keep Collier County a safe place.
Well, I lived on the other coast for a year, Port St. Lucie and area, and you just when you move out of, because I've been in Collier County since '93, you see what a difference and how blessed we are to be living in Collier County. From a crime standpoint, and big shout out to Collier County Sheriff's Office. They do a tremendous job of keeping us safe. Some great people.
Yeah, and we live in a community that doesn't allow or accept crime, so I think that's been huge. Our sheriff and leadership throughout the years, all of our sheriffs have done a really good job with that.
Colonel Bloom, and
and
I think once Tim left the
support.
office, that really buckled up and really did a
Really,
good
yeah.
job.
When I left, things get a lot
I'm
better
just
there.
kidding, I'm just
No,
kidding, no.
but having been a part of that and seeing the background, but I will tell you though, it's the community, right? So if you're in a community that just tolerates crime, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I know for a fact up in Lee County, Sheriff Marcino has in the last 5 or 6 years developed where Lee County basically doesn't accept it either in the communities and the building and the construction. That is not going to come if we have an unsafe place. Yes, we have beautiful beaches. Yes, we have the sun. But if it's not safe to go to the beach, then you're not going to have people there. So we need to always make sure our fine men and women here at the Collier County Sheriff's Office and City, Naples Police, and Marco, they just do a great job.
And you say what you want about Sheriff Carmine, but he's done a tremendous job of cleaning up Lee County, keeping Lee County safe, and all the fine men and women at Lee County Sheriff's
and he's
Office.
very, very big into animal abuse. He will get you.
He is.
He's the best in the whole of Florida, whole state. Carmine is the best when it comes to animal abusers. Oh, they go down fast.
He doesn't mess around. I love that,
And Sheriff Rambosk here, the best program they have is a 287G program. And I want to know how I can help enforce that a bit more than we're doing, where in Immokalee, there are dogs in the streets. There are dogs being tied up outside people's homes, and there are backyard breeders. We need to enforce the 287G program, or threaten to enforce that, with these people who are backyard breeders. Make sure they've got citizenship and licenses to breed, because I don't think they do.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, throughout Florida, throughout the country. 287G, if those you don't know, it's immigration, federal statute that allows for local law enforcement, local sheriffs, local police departments to work with
ICE, my favorite word,
customs,
ICE.
Yes, used to be immigration, but ICE, they work with them hand in hand. And basically, what happens is if somebody is out there committing criminal activity and they meet the threshold, they will basically be held and be deported. And we've had that program in place. I think we're close to like 20 years now at the Sheriff's Office.
But in layman's terms,
we started.
In layman's terms, basically, local law enforcement can get rid of illegal aliens and work with ICE. That's Immigration Customs Enforcement. Get rid of them. And, if they're committing crimes, we're not talking, hi, Diana, we're not talking about innocent Hispanic people that work so hard with the jobs they do. I love Hispanic people. They work so hard. But I came here as an alien. I am a legal alien, but there was a time that I was illegal to work
were
here.
Illegal?
Immigrant.
I was an illegal alien. I mean, and I'm the first to admit it. So us legal aliens are even more emphatic about removing the illegal aliens. Obviously, they committed a crime by even being here, but the illegal aliens who are continuing to commit crimes. And as I said, you have a dog tied up outside your home in the heat of Florida. You breed from a dog with no license. You're committing a crime. I would have ICE on the phone. Tom Homan, are you there? I got another one for you. That would be me. If the sheriff's office hire me, don't hire me as a deputy because I can't keep my mouth shut and I get myself in a lot of trouble. But hire me with the 287G program and I will really help out. 287G. Hi, Diana.
Yeah, it's a great program, and it allows for local law enforcement again to assist, because people don't realize, like, if I am a deputy and I make an arrest on the street and I have that person happens not to be in our country legally, then I could potentially have that person sitting in a county jail for up to 2 or 3 years waiting for trial, whereas let's just go ahead and put them back, take them over to Chrome Detention Center, put them back on a plane, go back to the country, and then because I think at one time we were estimating approximately about that was years ago, $6 to $7 million a year just holding
illegal aliens
in our county jail, and that's a cost for all of us.
Yeah, no, but I do want to say this, because especially working in restaurants, for better part of 20 years, there's a lot of great, hardworking people and families that come here, whether from Mexico, Guatemala, and if you deported a lot of these people, you're not going to have kitchens or whatever, and so there should be some kind of system, and I think they're working on that. If you've been here, 8, 10, 12, 15 years, and you've been working, have a family here, haven't committed any crimes, I definitely think should be a pathway, whether it be citizenship or, residency.
As long as they've been paying their taxes in those 8 and 12 years.
Yeah,
and as long as they haven't committed crimes.
Exactly.
Yeah, so...
Because, they've come here for a better life, and if they've done the right things these amount of years, then I
without a doubt, also to make it clear, because my family, is come here and they've migrated here, and it definitely impacts when you have somebody that that's getting deported. They've got a family at home, they've got wives, kids, things like that. We've discussed it. The restaurants in general, people come here. I believe they come here if they work hard, they do what they're supposed to be doing, go through a process that allows them to stay, which we do have. we're working on improving it, and they don't get in trouble. Hey, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
For a certain amount of time, but go through that process, make sure
Right.
we know who we have, because I think the biggest thing over the last 4 years is there's people coming to our country. We have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
No idea. And sure enough, they go out, commit crimes, kill. It's just a terrible scenario.
El Salvador,
situation.
yeah.
And most importantly, they have to learn the language of the country. Full
Yeah,
stop.
yeah, that's a big.
It takes a while.
I don't.
Then do it in your own country. And then come to this country.
Yeah, I mean,
because
you're learning English fairly well.
If you went
to American English,
if you went to another country and just didn't want to learn the language, they're not going to be so tolerable.
No,
so
they're not. Yeah,
I definitely agree with that. And I know people that have come here from, whether it be Czech Republic or other countries, and what they did first couple months until they were able to settle in. They learned the language. Some cases just teaching themselves and learn the language. Because they came here, so you have to assimilate.
Denmark won't allow you to. You have to know the language. If you're going to move to Denmark, you have to prove what's in your bank account.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot to get into Denmark. Not Norway, but Denmark. I think they've got tight laws.
I think Norway's even stricter than Denmark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
plus,
Norway's very, very. Yeah.
If you think about it, us as Americans, if we go out to another country, if I go to Colombia, if I go to Germany, if I go to England, I've got to go by the rules. And if I don't go by the rules, they're going to send my butt back. So we are a country that allows, and we are made based on our immigration. A lot of us are here based on that. We need to just make sure we know who's here. We need to have some process.
Well,
just coming across the border is just
a country without borders is
yeah,
not a country,
right.
and so you got to know who's getting in. You have to protect yourself. You want to do a couple news slides with Victoria?
Yeah,
while we got her.
Good with the news
have
stuff.
a little
Yeah,
fun.
Victoria, we got a couple comments.
What's in the news? We want to get
quick.
people's comments.
You just want to say, temp sheriff stop bad drivers. Okay, yeah, immigrant. Yeah, no kidding. Immokalee Road.
Thank you,
busy
D.
all day.
Shout out to D.
Yeah. Thank you to
Diane taking some pics.
Diane's taking
Appreciate
some pictures here in the studio. It's all good. Yeah, let's go ahead and do a couple of these stories. We always like to do this. We always like to put our disclaimer up anytime we do this, because guess what? Everything that we talk about in this stories are allegedly happened, Victoria. So we don't really,
love that word.
We can't say,
Allegedly.
100% that it's there. But yeah, so just a little bit of our disclaimer here at the 239. We want to make sure everybody understands that it's not the views of Tim Guerrette. It's not the views of Studio 239. So these stories are just that.
Or Patrick Jira.
Or Patrick. Yeah, you got to definitely get him in there too as well, right? Patrick.
Got to watch what I say.
Yeah. This is an interesting one, and I'll get this over here where we can see it just a little bit better, a little bit more clear. And
the 10 largest casual dining chains in the U.S. I think these were family friendly too, right? The 10 largest family friendly.
Family friendly.
You ever heard of any of these places?
A couple of these places I've never.
Shades Bar and Grill. So the question would be, what do you guys out there consider your favorite casual family dining restaurant or chain? So we want to hear from you, because I don't know any of these.
Victoria,
Shades Bar and Grill.
If you have
Victoria, what does Victoria like to go out for a casual dining restaurant?
In this town, I can tell you, Mora Bistro is fantastic. Mora Bistro, owned by Nabil. That's the most incredible Lebanese food.
And we always want to support local, and we love supporting local, but for a chain.
Oh, for a chain?
Yeah.
When I went to see you, that was so good.
Outback?
That was it. Yeah, Outback. That was a really nice one. They have that in California as well.
Outback? Yeah, they have a few Outbacks in California. They don't really go out west too much, but they do have a couple.
Would you agree that just because it's a chain, there's different, like Chili, there's a better Chili's than the one down the street?
1,000%. I can
better
tell you that.
Outback.
Oh, yeah.
So
Depending on the chef,
they
the
try to be
service.
consistent.
1,000%. Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you there's one Outback that's better than the other in Naples. Like, it's night and day. So Mission Barbecue.
I was going to say
Mission
Mission Barbecue.
Yeah, we love Mission Barbecue.
Roxanne,
Perkins,
we know Roxanne likes Perkins. I go to her eggs mornings, and awesome over there. Perkins does a good job, and those restaurants, are very Perkins barely holding on.
Yeah,
I mean, I used to go in those, and they used to be really busy. Perkins used to be like hopping, and it's definitely slowed down. Do you think it's because of I personally believe there's a cycle for
1000%.
businesses like Sears, Kmart. I don't know if you remember any of those.
Caldor.
Yeah, there's
That was more
and they
Northeast
stay
thing,
for probably about 30 to 40 years,
Yeah.
and then they basically check out. And I think that's
Radio Shack.
very much the same for businesses as well.
Yeah.
We talk a little bit about these restaurants.
Yep.
I know. Do you guys consider going out to eat and eating healthy kind of expensive nowadays? It's easier, I think, and cheaper to eat
Yeah, I don't.
bad.
I don't eat
That's
healthy,
the problem.
but I do eat.
Speaking of which, Ways to Wellness podcast episode 2, which just debuted last night on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Francesca and Jeff Delaney actually talk about that, and trying to get where it's more affordable to feed a family on healthy food instead of having to go to McDonald's and feed a family of 4 for $20, which is hard to do at McDonald's nowadays as well.
It's not like it used to be, right? You used to be able to go in and it was somewhat reasonable.
So when I think, yeah, absolutely. So when I think of unhealthy, Cheesecake Factory does, even though they have such a big menu at Cheesecake Factory,
the menu's huge.
I can't even imagine the prep there from a manager's standpoint. Just it's insane the amount of things that they have on the menu. But yeah, the cheesecake, which is delicious, but just absolutely you feel like you're gonna go into a coma after you eat one.
Yeah, I really like going in to the Cheesecake Factory because I know at the end, no matter what, whether the meal was good or bad, I know at the end I'm going to get a piece of cheesecake.
I know. Well, you know what I've done in the past? Because I'm such a big dessert guy. I go to the cheesecake first, and then I'll have the entree.
Do you really?
Yeah, I've done that.
Do that?
Because I filled up, and then you're kind of full and don't have room for the cheesecake. So I've absolutely gone to Cheesecake Factory and started with the cheesecake and then finished with an entree or appetizer.
Wonderful. I should try that.
You could
sometime.
thank me later.
Yes, that's a great idea.
I don't know if I could. For some reason, though, I think my meal would not be the same if I had the dessert first. But a lot of people do that. So
You ever been to Sonic, Tim?
Sonic is good.
Sonic's not bad.
I used to like you have the hot dogs,
the chili dogs.
Chili dogs. And if you want to drive in, do they still come out with like skates on? Or is that an option?
I don't.
Because they used to come out with like.
I don't think they do
You
the
ever been to
skates.
Sonic?
No, I'm very, very loyal to McDonald's. I don't go anywhere else. McDonald's, a Big Mac, extra sauce, large fries, and a strawberry milkshake.
Really?
I don't go anywhere but McDonald's.
So you know what we
Since I was
did
a kid.
yesterday, Victoria? I don't want to give it away too much so Blake doesn't kill me. But myself, Blake, and Dee went and tried, more so them. I filmed it. Did testing for all the French fries. We did Steak and Shake, McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's. Tried all their French fries, and they gave their review. I won't spoil who got the best, but it was a lot of fun.
I'm rooting for McDonald's, but I'll find out tomorrow.
Well, like McDonald's French fries are definitely really good. Do you feel, though, that the quality in general's come down?
They changed the
McDonald's?
oil.
I find that they're smaller portions, and I eat a lot of food, and I'm disappointed that the Big Mac has shrunk. Or I just got bigger. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
Taco Bell. I went to Taco Bell. My daughter loves Taco Bell, and the tacos, which are now like $4, $5, $6, and they're tiny. There's like a little piece of meat in there, a couple pieces of lettuce, just $25 for me and my daughter.
It's
and
so expensive.
Tiny, yeah, I know.
Like
And the quality and the quantity and the size has gone down too.
Yeah,
so
without a doubt.
I'm concerned about just the size because I don't like to be.
Buffalo Wild Wings. You ever been
Don't
to
know it.
Buffalo Wild Wings?
I'm just so loyal to McDonald's. I don't know any of those. I know Cheesecake Factory, but fast food I don't.
Do you eat buffalo wings at all?
I do.
I love
Do
Buffalo.
you guys realize that not that long ago they would throw away that part of the chicken?
Yeah, I know.
You know.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And not too long ago, they were pretty cheap in the last couple. Now
wings right now, not cheap.
Who's got the best wings in Naples? I know who's got the best wings in Southwest Florida. Probably be Buffalo Chips, but in Naples, favorite wings.
Oh,
what's your favorite wings in Naples?
Favorite wings, without a doubt, I love Buffalo Chips and Bonita.
Southwest Florida, but Naples.
Naples, I like Twin Peaks is good.
Twin Peaks.
Hooters used to be good. Hooters wings were good they're good when they first come out, but if they sit for a period of time, they're not as good. So I like them when they're fresh.
Jimmy P's has good wings. Foxborough actually has good wings too.
Yeah,
Outback has pretty good wings too.
Relentless Hope in the house.
See, what's your favorite
Gotta
wing spot in Southwest Florida? Putting you on the spot. You like wings? You like wings, right?
We got Diana here.
Got D in the house.
She's live. So favorite wing place. We got a little. Let's go through some of these comments. We got McDonald's French fries, ice cream. They're the best.
Yes.
Love the ice cream machine. Never works though. That's the problem.
I know.
We found out though.
All good.
I thought Trump was going to fix
Dave and
that.
Joanna, we talked about the Waffle House. I do like the Waffle House. The
Waffle House is solid. You always get a
Waffle House is good.
meal.
It's at the right time. Now, have you ever done the Waffle House?
No, I haven't been there.
Oh
but
my
I've
goodness,
seen
you
it.
got to get out.
Used to go to the Waffle House about 2:30, 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
Years ago. Yeah.
Could you?
It does hit different. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So and then we got D out there. We got a couple things going on. So Waffle House in the morning, early mornings around 2 a.m. Is the best place to go.
And there's a lot going on in it too.
There's a lot of action.
So you get a little bonus for your buck. Not only some
2
food.
a.m. My God, I go to bed so early. I'm waking up
This
2
is
hours
bad.
after that.
I don't think I've been up past 2 a.m. in years.
It's
but
been a while.
yeah,
It's been a while.
because most places close at 2, so 2:30 is Waffle House. You get
I heard they have waffles with chicken and syrup on top at the Waffle House.
I don't know if they do
That's
at the
good.
Waffle
That's
House yet,
good.
but there's a lot of places that do that.
We got a few people here.
Is that Kevin trying to find out?
Do you pay cash or use your card at McDonald's? You can probably.
Is
I
that
don't
a
know.
trick
Is it-
question? I don't.
Maybe does it?
Do you
they
pay
charge you-
cash or use card? Both.
But love buffalo wings. Remember?
Al-Kalami. I remember Al-Kalami.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Roscoe-
How about
Sure.
Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles? Shout out to you. Ever been there? L.A.
I have been there. That's what I was thinking. That's
Yeah,
where they have the
Roscoe's Chicken
chicken.
Wa-
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Great spot. And Pink's hot dogs out now.
What do you like on your chicken wings? Straight up hot wings, teriyaki.
Everything.
Hot. Just hot and spicy. The
I mean,
spicy,
can
the
you
better.
take it like really?
Really spicy. Hotter
really
than an
spicy?
Indian, I always say. When I go to Indian places, I always say, hotter than you could have it. Hello. Good morning.
Kevin's in the house. Just have a seat, Kevin. No problem. There's a water over there if you'd like to have one.
Look at those cakes. How
He's
clean
looking
and white.
he's looking
Wow.
all good. Kevin's getting ready to come on deck. He's going to talk a little bit about his treatment program and a couple things he's got going for cancer. And it's all good. But yeah, so buffalo wings, like I really enjoy trying different places and
Different flavors.
seeing what's out there. Different flavors. I like
I like
teriyaki.
garlic.
I like teriyaki.
Garlic parm.
Yeah.
I'll do a half buffalo, half teriyaki.
Yeah.
Well,
Sounds
Patrick,
good.
when
Getting
you-
me hungry.
You know, when you have that busy,
Sophisticated palate.
sophisticated lifestyle that you have,
Well, I don't
you got to
know.
be careful when you eat the garlic.
I know.
We got to kind of put you in the right spot.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm terrible with garlic. I have raw garlic. I feel sorry for the
I
people
love
at my
raw-
gym in
yeah,
the morning.
I love garlic, yeah.
I have this mayonnaise and
good for
garlic
you.
spread. I make it and eat chips with it at night if I'm not on the cookie dough. It's heaven.
Yeah.
What's
right.
more of
So,
they have it.
yeah. And so, listen, we got a couple more slides here I want to go through, and then we're going to get Kevin Hennings on here in just a second. He's going to talk and give us a little bit more information. I want to talk a little bit about this, too, first. Rolling Thunder, Ride for Freedom, is going to be on May 23rd. We want to make sure we support that in any way we can. Their chapter is chapter number 5. Great cause. A little bit of a QR code there to get that information out. But listen, if we can get Carl Steinoff, if you can get out there. Always good to have them.
Carl watches the
as
show
well.
from Vietnam.
Yeah, he actually is over there visiting right now.
Did you see this, Victoria? Is this the house?
The Hoffmans.
Yeah. Oh no, this is the Huffman house. Okay, that's a different story.
Yeah, this is actually the Hoffman's got this house. Amazing home. I think it's a record home for $85 million on this one.
18,000 square feet, I think.
It's huge. It's huge. What do you think is
worse than the other one that sold for $225 million?
What do you think is excessive money to spend for a house? I guess it all
Well,
depends.
it depends
on how
where
much
you
money,
and where you are.
and how much money you have,
Naples,
right?
or if you're in Port Charlotte, or Punta Gorda, or
But did you guys saw the one? I think we have a slide for it. There's one out there that's sold for
$225 million.
$225.
It was on the market for $295. Went for $225. You got pretty much your own beach
record
at that point.
record numbers. Yeah. So real big money
Naples.
here in Naples.
And it was kind of surprising. You would think a house in California or something would be priced a little, more, but Naples, record-breaking price for
Freedom Town, yeah.
Freedom Town, USA. Who's the mayor of Freedom Town, USA, Victoria?
Patrick Dearborn. And pro tem is Patrick Jira.
Let's do one more story and we'll get Kevin on. I don't know if you've been following this.
I wanna talk about this.
And now I know this is a big thing. Sports are big. Deion Sanders.
You follow this at all, the story?
Do you know anything
Which one?
about
The
it?
Deion Sanders
Deion
sons?
Sanders saga.
No, I don't know this one. Not this
Okay,
one.
that's okay,
I'm
though.
a news addict, but I
that's
don't know this
okay.
one.
This is a little bit interesting. Fill us in a little bit, Patrick, where we're at.
Yeah,
with this
so I
one.
just want to tag a couple.
You want to
people.
tag Deion?
Tag Deion Sanders. Fort Myers native Deion Sanders.
Yes.
Greatest probably cornerback, maybe defensive back of all time. So his kid, Shedeur Sanders, standout quarterback of Colorado and Jackson State before that, projected at one point a number 1 overall pick, but really top 5, top 10 at worst. And he slid during the draft. And, that it can happen. Some especially quarterbacks like Brady Quinn and Aaron Rodgers fell into the end of the first round. So, unexpected slide can happen. So he wasn't drafted in the first round. And I said, okay, he's going to be taken in the second round. There's no way he gets past the second round. Well, he didn't get drafted in the second round. Then the third round. He finally went in the fifth round, I think like 154th overall, which is there's no zero. Whatever you think of the situation, you can't tell me there's 153 more talented players than Shedeur Sanders coming out of college. So this was a hit job. This was a hit job against Deion Sanders. Now, you could say that maybe they handled things a little incorrectly, but when Archie Manning came out and said Eli Manning's not going to San Diego or a West Coast team, wasn't really a problem, right? Still went number 1 overall, didn't get bashed. But when Deion said he's not going to play for certain teams, he's a diva. So I'm not necessarily going to bring race into it, but this was an absolute hit job. It was targeted against Deion Sanders, who I absolutely respect and admire. I think he's done a great job raising his kids. And it's really disgusting. I think, they made an example out of Shedeur Sanders and the Sanders family, and almost like a conquer and divide thing between father and son. And I thought it was atrocious that this kid fell in the fifth round.
Well, I mean, he's there, right? He's in the NFL, so now it's going to be on his shoulders, and I think he's really willing to step up and take that. So I think you maybe know how the draft works. So basically what happens, these kids come out of college, and the NFL drafts them in order based on how the owners feel and what they need for players. So when you go in the first round, it's a difference between making $80 million a year versus the third round where you're going to be maybe coming in making 5 or 6. If that.
Fifth round, you're talking.
So when you get drafted early, the it's a lot more lucrative, right? So when you get drafted 154th in the league, your financial issue is going to be a bit different than
on the flip side. The one good thing about it is if you're a first rounder, you're pretty much locked in for 5 years. If you're a later round pick, after 3 years, you can become a free agent, so you can get another contract quicker. So hopefully that happens. He gets a chance to play, shine, and in 3 years, he's up for big money. And the thing is with the NIL, he's made a good chunk of money in the NIL, so he's not hurt for money, especially coming from the Sanders family, which I'm not a big fan of the NIL personally. But yeah, I just think it's crazy how this guy slid in the fifth round. Weird, and then he gets prank called by a coach's son that he was drafted. How that phone number got leaked, I don't know. And there, if you can put up a slide there, Tim. Actually, Donald Trump tweeted about that. How it was ridiculous that he fell out of the first round, and he not only fell out of the first round, he got drafted fifth in the fifth round, which is again Trump calls NFL owners stupid for not taking Shedeur Sanders in the first round.
Trump usually keeps his comments to himself.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back.
That
was a personal attack on more so on Deion. Deion's done things the right way in terms of raising his kids, God first, family, hard work, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be remain to be seen. But I think I look at it this way: the kids now, the dad is gone because the daddy ball. We know how that works, right? Dad's involved, gets involved. Because of who he is. The kids now are in the NFL. They need to maintain a good attitude and come out and play and prove them wrong.
But this is not unheard of where a kid's dad or agent came out and said, we don't want, I don't want my kid going to so-and-so. Again, it happened with Eli Manning. Said they refused to play for the Chargers. John Elway came out and said he was not going to play for the Baltimore Colts and sat out and played baseball. But it's a problem if Shedeur and Deion say it, kind of weird,
but
saying.
I know. I apologize, Victoria, on this. This is like a football thing, but thank you so much for coming
Love
on,
you, Victoria.
You're
Thank
awesome.
you for having me both.
We
Always,
appreciate you so
yeah.
much. Always welcome.
Always
you always bring a
welcome.
lot to it, and you have you're so fun, and you bring a lot of
and then
energy.
real quick, give me
and-
those books real quick again.
Yeah,
because there's going to be a lot of
best two of these.
There's going to be a lot of people asking how they can get your books.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
Amazon.
so they can go to Amazon.
Yeah, let's put them up. Go to Amazon, and you can get the books there.
These two I co-authored. You don't need that one, but these two
it's
are
good
the
to
best.
show them. Yeah. So the
Can I
Grim
grab
Sleeper.
I'm going to get one
the
for my
Serial
mom. I'm
Killers.
sure she's going to want one of those.
We'll get
Really?
one.
Yeah,
I'm going to
absolutely.
give her this one. I'm going to sign it for her right now
Aw.
before I leave. I'm going to leave
Yeah,
it
that's
right
and
now.
she's
I think she
and
might be
she's
watching.
always, but
Yeah.
that's great.
Hi,
And we'll
Patrick's mom.
get those. Yeah. So thank you so much, Victoria.
Thanks for having me.
You were unbelievable. We
You're the best.
appreciate
We had so
you.
much fun during the
And you're
campaign. Always
always
great to hang out with.
Always good.
What's your
and
mother's
always-
name?
Yitka. Jitka.
Beautiful.
Jitka. Very good. Yeah, we're gonna have Kevin come on, Kevin Hennings,
you.
in just a second. Come on up, Kevin, and get all ready. We got a lot more to go. It's 9:26, and we've got so much information, so many things that are happening. If you have something that you want to hear or you want to deliver,
Can we get a shot at
to
Kevin's
our-
kicks? Look how clean those are. Look at those.
Yeah, let's get a little
Wow.
bit of Kevin coming in here. Kevin, get it. Come out that way
You
just
look
a
like
little
you're going
bit.
to South Beach.
Yeah,
Kev.
look at
Whoa.
this. Kevin's coming in, looking
Clean,
good, looking
fresh.
good. Yeah.
Gotta
there
look
you go,
good,
there
right?
you go.
Because if
Yeah,
you look good, you feel good.
yeah, you got
play good.
You got to do that. Yeah, you got to do that. So very
sir.
good.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
All
Good
right.
morning, Kevin.
You can.
Yes, good seeing you, brother. Good seeing you. Thanks. Been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put the
so
headphones on. We'll get you.
we'll get
you
Kevin
going.
all set and
Where's that water at?
right on that corner of that desk. Yeah, grab that real quick. Make sure you don't dehydrate. Yep. I think it's. And Victoria, if you would like a water, there's one in the refrigerator inside. But yeah, thank you so much. We are here at the studio with Kevin Hennings. You can check out the headsets so you
Put your
can hear
headsets
us a
on,
little
get
bit.
in. I get a shot of Victoria signing the book
Yeah,
for my mom.
Victoria's doing a little bit of signage over there. She's over getting it signed. Look at her. She's writing another story inside, writing a
You're
book
right.
inside there. That's good.
sweet.
Yeah, no.
Thank you, Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria's very thoughtful. I've got her books. She's given me copies of them, so it's real good.
Got to get one for Sharka too. At a later date.
Yeah, we'll have to probably get some.
Do a book signing. We'll do a book signing at
Yeah, we
Studio
get a book signing
239.
over here. Yeah. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and welcome to the studio, Kevin. There you are up there, and there's going to probably be some questions that pop up. Kevin Hennings, and I think I need to put an S on the end of that.
Yeah,
Kevin
there's more than
Hennings,
one
'cause-
me.
There's more than one you, so we'll go ahead and get that fixed, and we'll make sure we get that title right.
Kevin
What
robbed
about-
Patrick Dearborn clause. Someone said Chicopee said you robbed Patrick Dearborn. Yeah, that is a Pat Dearborn now. That's a good call, Chicopee.
What's that?
She said that Kevin robbed Patrick Dearborn's closet. With
Yeah.
the outfit and
Hey,
shoes.
you got to get that fashion going on. Looking all good with the attire.
That's a compliment, by the way.
Well, thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about Kevin himself, and then
Came ready to go.
You're here, Kevin. Welcome to the studio. Before we get started,
I'll tell you what, I didn't know what to expect coming out here, and it's
Usually you don't.
I kind of walked right into an episode.
Yeah.
you were right in the studio. I mean,
lot of moving parts.
and we like to keep it like lively. We had a cold plunge challenge in here the other day.
Oh, no kidding.
We
right
raised,
here,
We raised
yeah.
nearly $5,000 for the Minds Over Tumors nonprofit, which Darren
Instantly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
in
amazing.
an hour.
Yeah.
So we had a lot
Wow.
of fun. Yeah, Patrick Dearborn went in, Blake Becker, and we had a lot of fun. Tim ended up going in, and
I did.
We had a lot of fun. Yeah.
When somebody tells you they're going to give you $1,000 for
Go-
a charity, we're jumping in. So that's what we did. So it worked out pretty good.
yeah.
It was great.
My goodness.
Did you guys work together?
So we knew Kevin. I worked at the sheriff's office, and when I was in the street gang unit, Kevin worked down on Marco, and we did some operations together. He was
No gangs in Marco, right?
he was a gang
Not much
liaison.
crime out there.
Yeah, we used to have a few knuckleheads that used to go
Knuckleheads,
through,
yeah.
they used to go through Marco Island, but yeah, for the most part. But yeah, that's how I've known Kevin, and Kevin used to do some fighting UFC stuff. And
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. That was kind of before it got real big, right?
Yeah. I actually, my timing is everything, I
Timing
guess.
is
And
everything, yeah.
I was I was a little bit before the boom, I guess.
Yeah.
Back when it was kind of, it started off bare knuckle, then it went to just no holds barred, and then they started incorporating some rules and stuff. It wasn't sanctioned, and it was pretty shoddy. But it was a good discipline, and it definitely brought me. I had to go through a lot of different avenues to get to where I am today.
Sure.
Ultimately, actually, I haven't seen you. I moved to Islamorada a while back, and I was charter fishing, and I was sponsored by Bass Pro down there, and I was actually living the dream, and somewhere along the line, I think things took a left turn. A lot of charter captains will work their whole life to get the recognition or to get sponsored or something like that. I kind of was in the right place at the right time, not like fighting, but this was, the timing was right for me in this particular incident. And I ended up getting a sponsor with Bass Pro, and I started filming and recording a TV show, and everything was going great. And then I got cancer.
Yeah.
What
year was that?
That was in 2019.
2019. Okay.
So,
what type of cancer?
I got colorectal cancer.
Okay.
And when I got diagnosed, I was stage 4 right off the bat.
Wow.
And so it was a little bit attributed to self-neglect, and just not wanting to believe that there was something wrong. And who's got time for that?
So when you get news like that, the doctor tells you got cancer, stage 4, whatever. Take us through that. What goes through your head? You start saying, I got 6 months to live. I'm going to do my bucket list, or, walk me through that process. What goes on? Cause I could, you always kind of think about
news like that would be
you go to the doctor and you always think they're coming back with your results. If they say they have cancer, so someone who's actually experienced cancer and beaten it, I would just go through the thought process. What goes on in your head when you get that news?
Well, that was a spoiler. You just told everybody that I beat it.
Well,
we
and you're here today.
So you know what? When they told me that I had cancer, it was kind of like a slow drip.
Yeah.
They didn't tell me right away.
Okay.
So I was down in Islamorada, and it was dolphin season. We were fishing mahi-mahi, and, I was busy, very busy, back-to-back charters, and you're running nonstop.
Yeah.
And you don't really have time to be sick. But I'd gone to a family reunion right before that weekend, and my family hadn't seen me in a long time. And, you get to some place, and finally your ship has arrived, so you want to go to this family reunion and tell everybody how great you're doing. And when I got there to tell everybody how great I was doing, somebody had made a comment about filming, and they said, do they put a lot of makeup on you? And I said, well, why? Why do you ask that? That's kind of a silly thing to ask. And they said, well, because you look awfully gray. You don't really look too good.
Okay.
Really? And I said, well, a hater's going to hate, right?
Yeah. Tim tells me that every day.
Yeah.
I ignore
a little bit more gray.
Yeah.
So
Likes bananas.
I'm lucky. I'm fortunate enough in my family to have a few people in the medical field.
Okay.
My sister-in-law is a nurse practitioner. My other sister's a nurse practitioner. My brother's a doctor. I have a lot of medical, it's not like, internet guys, they're people that were trained, and one thing that they knew for sure is that I just didn't look right.
Okay.
So I didn't really have time to go get checked or anything like that. And I out of nowhere, a charter canceled on me, and I had a few hours, and they had just opened up a VA hospital or a VA clinic down in Islamorada, or in Key Largo, actually. And I said, you know what? On my way to the marina, I'll just swing by and I'll get some blood work done. And as soon as I walked in, they were just opening up, and the nurse, there was no receptionist yet. The nurse was the person who greeted me. And she said, well, what are you here for? And I said, well, I just want to see if I can get some blood work. And she says, well, how'd you get here? And I said, well, I drove. My truck's right outside. And she says, well, you're not driving away. And I said, well, what do you mean? She says, you have no blood in your body. All of my blood was going.
She could see that.
Yeah, she could see like my
did a couple
in my capillary reflex, you know, and she could see that I was flushing. Like she says, you know, you have no blood in your body, and come to find out, all of the blood in my body was going to feed a tumor. It wasn't going to my extremities and my organs. It was all feeding a tumor.
And you didn't feel any signs that something was off?
Well, it's funny you should ask.
Yeah.
I know the answer to this because I watched a few things. You
did. You did some.
Yeah.
So I did. I neglected a lot.
Yeah.
Because you just don't want to believe that something's wrong. You don't want to.
Sure.
You don't have time
Tell
for
yourself that it's.
My ship had come in. I'm filming. Mm-hmm. I'm filming. What charter captain could say, "Hey, man, here's your own TV show. You're the star of the show. You got to go film. You got to go do charges. You got to do boat shows and appearances and seminars and." Everything was going my way.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want it to end.
Yeah.
So I neglected the blood in the toilet bowl. I neglected the hemorrhoids. Most of all, what I neglected was my diet, my nutrition intake, you don't have time.
Of course. That's
it's
what
a
we
hustle,
say, right? Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so.
What were you eating at that point?
Oh gosh, anything that I could put my hands on in passing.
Yeah.
You know,
Fast
it was
food and just gas station.
Unfortunately, that's like
everything.
It's kind of like us now.
Doing better, but
it was a constant graze.
Yeah.
You know, because you got to get in what you could fit in.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And so everything was off.
Sure.
Everything was off, and Tim will tell you, like, that's not who I am.
Yeah.
You know, my entire life, I was a Marine. I was a professional athlete. My entire life, I mean, my background is in fitness and nutrition. But somewhere along the line, I lost my way.
Okay.
And I started poisoning myself without knowing it.
Yeah.
So I get diagnosed, and immediately I get transported up to the VA hospital in Miami. From there, over a period of like 9 days, they confirm without confirming. You know, they didn't want to tell me I had cancer because they're waiting on test results. The VA is a little bit slow with their testing. And so they're waiting on lab results. They're waiting on test results. And then they shift. It's a teaching hospital. So everybody's moving in and out, and you have a different personnel. So I don't know if it was a communication issue, but it was a slow drip. You know, every person who came in was like, we can't tell you have cancer. You know?
Yeah, you kind of like nod.
Yeah.
You know, and so I immediately, because I have some connections in hospitals, because of my family members, I was able to get into Moffitt Cancer Center up in Tampa. And that's where I went. I immediately went there. And that's when it all hit. Mm-hmm. It didn't really hit me for the first 2 weeks of the hemming and hawing. And I was admitted into the VA hospital during that time. And they still didn't have answers for me. I go to Moffitt that first day. They immediately put a port in. And I became a part of the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you went to Moffitt, did you have to stay there that night, or did they send you back, or?
No, as soon as I got there, they kept me. And they said, time is of the essence here. I had some radical disease. It was very aggressive. And they put a port in. Initially, they wanted to do surgery, and they weren't sure. The treatment plan, because it was very new still, they hadn't decided whether they were going to do surgery first or chemo first to try to shrink it or control it before they operated. And that was all up in the air at the time. And then fast forward, I ended up getting surgery. I ended up getting 3 years worth of my lifetime max of chemo. And ultimately, after radiation, surgery, and chemo, after 3 years, they had told me that my body wasn't responding anymore to the medicine, and that I had inoperable disease, because at that point, it had gotten into my lymph nodes and then radically spread in my body. And so they couldn't operate on some of the disease, and my body wasn't responding anymore. Mm-hmm. So they sent me home, and they said, get your affairs in order. And this is where the story starts. This is kind of really, you could have fast forwarded all through this whole entire thing.
No. We definitely want to hear that. Also, Chicopee yells out Semper Fi, brother. So, yeah, it's a lot of good comments coming up.
Oh, look at that. You can see all this stuff.
Yeah, so glad you survived. Advocate for man. That's I think what Kevin's about too. Like, hey, get checked, get don't ignore things. And he's gonna tell you about how I won't cut to the chase too much, but I won't steal the line here at where we're going here.
Yeah,
so
well, this is really where the story starts. I mean, all that other stuff was just noise. And the 3 years of treatment, the Western medicine, all of that stuff was part of the journey. And it was definitely the battle. But really where it started was when I left the hospital, when they told me that there was nothing else they could do for me. And at the time, it was during COVID. And so my sister, my nurse sister was on the phone because she understands the lingo, And so she's on the phone, and the social worker comes in and says, you won't be seeing the doctor today. And I said, well, why not? I had a relationship with my doctors. And by the way, my doctors were brilliant. The Western medicine that I received in Moffitt Cancer Center was phenomenal. And my doctors were absolutely brilliant. I do not vilify Western medicine. There's certainly a place for it. And honestly, if we're telling the truth, Western medicine saved my life. But not how you think. So they told me there was nothing else they could do. My sister's on the phone. She understands what's going on. She's bawling. She's in tears. She is hysterical on the phone. And I can't do this right now. I haven't processed the information yet.
Right.
And so we walked to the parking garage. She doesn't, I said, listen, let me just process this for a minute. And let's call my other sister. Now, I have two sisters. I have a sister who is a very calculated and clinically precise sister. Her background is in medicine. She's a teaching nurse. And I have another sister who's somewhat of, I call her somewhat of a Bible chucker.
Right.
She's a bit of a Bible chucker. And I say that in the most humorous way I could possibly say, because everything about her is sunshine and rainbows. Mm-hmm. She never sees the bad in anything. And I call her Disney. I refer to her as Disney because everything is, Mr. Bluebird on my shoulder.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so she says, okay, well, they told you this. What are you going to do? Now, what's the plan? And I said, Shelley, maybe you didn't hear. It's over. That's it. Mm-hmm. And she says, well, there's a guy at my church. That's it. I can't do this anymore. I can't have this conversation. I can't get Bible thumped to death. Let me process this news. I don't even know what to think right now.
Yeah.
She says, no, Kevin, you don't understand. I said, I understand. I know what you're doing. And at the time, I admittedly had my faith shook.
Right.
And so she says, no, Kevin, you don't understand. This guy got diagnosed at the same time as you, with the same cancer as you. And he did the same treatment as you one time. And he couldn't handle it. So he opted out. Uh-huh. And he's no evidence of disease right now. You're on your way to hospice. Do you want to listen now? So
yeah, you're like, okay, I got to listen.
Yeah. So lo and behold, this gentleman from her church, his wife is a veterinarian. And he started taking this medicine called fenbendazole, which is an anti-parasitic. Mm-hmm. And boy, I'll tell you, me and my other sister still were on three-way. And she says, he started taking this horse medicine. And boy, me and my nurse sister, we laughed at her. Oh, Disney, you guys you're cracking me up here.
Sing Kumbaya around the tree, right?
You picked the lowest moment to be the funniest person, suggesting that I take some horse medicine. You're crazy, out of your mind. I'm not trying to commit suicide. I want to live. I'm not going to take horse medicine. You're nuts. So she says, okay. Well, I get off the phone, right? And those miles, I'm on I-75 going south, and I hit Englewood,
That's a long stretch.
Port Charlotte, Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Enter Collier County. Mm-hmm. Go down 951. Boy, that's a long road to Marco. I'm getting closer to Marco, and my fate has not changed. I'm going to see hospice. So I called my sister back, old Disney. I said, you got that guy's phone number? Sure enough, she did. And she hooked me up with him. I called the guy, and he, in turn, calls me back. And he can't talk to me at the moment because he's swinging a hammer. And this is in the middle of the summer, by the way, the peak of the heat. He's on the roof swinging a hammer, laying a roof, concrete bricks for a roof. Mm-hmm. I can't steer my truck. I'm not strong enough to steer my truck. Mm-hmm. And this guy is swinging a hammer in the heat of summer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, please call me back. Yeah. I really want to know what's going on. So he goes and he tells me just enough for me to go do a deep dive, okay. Because I'm sure nobody listens to him. They kick tires and they're not really serious about it. So he's kind of standoffish, and he just tells me just enough. So I go down that rabbit hole that night because the next morning I'm meeting with hospice. Mm-hmm. They're going to measure my room. They're going to give me a bed. They're going to give me a plan. I actually, we planned my funeral. We put my truck up for sale. My boat was for sale. This was that. This was that moment. And so I didn't sleep at all that night. Oh, I was down deep in this internet rabbit hole. And, but it's all, it's all just noise because there's somebody cleaning out the lint in their belly button, sitting in their grandmother's basement up in Pennsylvania or somewhere, who's an internet keyboard jockey who was going to save my life. The doctors couldn't do it. I'm going to listen to somebody on the internet who's got some crazy ideas, crazy notions. No, thank you. So I didn't pay any mind to it. I took it for what it was worth. The next morning, I'm on my way to go to this meeting. And unseasonably, traffic, it wasn't like you guys know season, right? Yeah. So the car carriers come. Right. The car carriers come and it starts affecting the traffic flow, because they're starting to load up all the snowbirds, and in this case, I'm driving down 951 and there's a car carrier that pushes everybody over into a turn lane, and I don't need to turn. I got to go straight. And I don't, for some reason, I drove these streets many years. I know all the back roads, but I wasn't even thinking that way. I was forced into the turn lane, and just like a sheep, I was herded off into a side road, and I had to make a U-turn. And although I didn't really have to make a U-turn, but I wasn't thinking about it. I could have taken a side road, but I did. I made a U-turn. I felt compelled, like I had to make this U-turn. And the only place for me to turn around is in a guy's car wash that I know. I know the guy. And remember, you mentioned that I used to fight. This guy was somebody from back in those days. I got weeks maybe to live. Not somebody really that he wasn't going to be a beacon of a light for me. This guy wasn't, he was kind of an abrasive guy. I used to train with him. He was a hardcore, just a grinder, and a hothead, a temper, just not the negativity I want in my life right now. You kind of doing a little soul searching at this point, and, but I gotta make the U-turn. There's no other options in my mind, although there was many. And I make the U-turn and I see all these cameras. He's got cameras, and now I'm interrupting his business. We had just made my funeral arrangements. And since I left there, the only thing I could think about was, when I go, what are they going to say in front of my wife? What is she going to hear, the whispers? And the only thing I could think about was this guy bad-mouthing me at my funeral. Mm-hmm. He cut in front of my parking lot, interrupted my whole business. Good riddance. In my mind, that's what I was thinking about. Let me just save face. I'm going to stop and say hi to this guy. He's always busy. He's not going to have time for me. I'll just wave from a distance and go on about my way. So that's what I do. Because I'm a nutcase. At this point, all I'm thinking about is doom and gloom. I walk into his office and I say, hey, Mike, sorry, bud. I'm passing. I see you're with somebody. I'm just passing through. Wanted to wave. He's like, whoa, hold on a second. You, go away. You, come on in here. Now, this guy is sitting in a rich mahogany-smelling office filled with leather-bound books, and, it's very wealthy. He's sitting around like, and he says, come on in here. Sit down. And I said, listen, I really don't, I got to go. I just came to stop and just say hi. He says, well, it looks like you came to say goodbye. He says, you look terrible. There's that guy I remember.
Yeah.
This is why I didn't want to stop. He said, Kevin, you look terrible. And I said, well, I'll fix his little red wagon. I'm going to hit him with the cancer card. Well, thanks a lot. I don't know if you've heard, but I've been battling a bit of the cancer, and I'm on my way to hospice. Yeah, I heard. So that's what they said. What are you going to do about it? And I said, well, you don't understand. That's what I'm doing about it. I'm going to get in my truck. I'm going to hospice. I have a meeting. And he says, no, this isn't the Kevin that I know. The Kevin that I know was a champion. The Kevin that I know was a winner. This guy is a victim. The guy who's walked into my office today is a victim. He said, let me tell you something. About 8 months ago, I had a friend who was misdiagnosed with esophageal cancer. This is, again, in the height of COVID and everything. And he says, I found myself out of Tractor Supply, and I was getting, now this guy is not he does not get his hands dirty. He's not a farmer.
Just not to cut you off there, Meredith's like veterinarian treatment. We're just, talking about that as well. So yeah, people putting some comments up there.
Oh,
yeah,
this is so cool. I don't even know how you get this.
Yeah, so we have a lot of people watching, and they're just throwing up stuff. So we just every now and then just pop up there and just, so go ahead, Kevin.
I don't even know where to look. Where's the camera at? I don't even know where.
The camera's right. Amazing. Right underneath the TV.
Well, I'll tell you.
So there you go. Yeah.
This is cool as a cucumber.
You're there.
So he says, I don't remember where I was at.
Wow, you being a fighter.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Laying down.
He says, no, he says, listen, he says, the guy who just walked in my office is a victim. He's like, he says, this guy, he said, my friend was misdiagnosed with esophageal cancer about 8 months ago. And I found myself here at Tractor Supply, and I was leaning up against an end cap. And at the time, this was right around the time where the Joe Rogan and Trump was talking about ivermectin and all this stuff, hydroxychloroquine and, all this stuff. And so he says, I just found myself leaning up against this end cap while they loaded up a fuel bladder for a car that I have. He collects cars too. Mm-hmm. And he says, so I bought this tube of fenbendazole. And I was on my way home, and my friend called me and said, hey, great news, I was misdiagnosed. I don't have cancer. So he gets all the way back to his office, and he says, well, I got this tube. He throws it in his top right drawer, and for the next 8 months, he fumbles around with it as it sits in his top right drawer, the most used drawer, right? Right. And so he fumbles around, and every day he says, I got to throw this thing out. He says, and something in the back of my head tells me, no, don't throw this away. And so he fumbles around. He says, Kevin, I've been fumbling around with this thing for 8 months. And he hands it to me. He says, I've been waiting for you. And something hit me. I walked out of his office, and I realized that series of coincidences, that car carrier pushing me into the turn lane, the U-turn, the cameras, the saving face, everything that led to that point wasn't a mistake. That was God's plan. The day before, the fenbendazole, the seed being planted, the rabbit hole that night, I didn't sleep at all. I canceled my appointment. I drove home, and I told my wife what had happened, and I started taking the fenbendazole that day. And I didn't tell anybody.
And you said, I got to do this now, because you had that urgency.
I honestly,
because your alternative was hospice.
Yeah. And you know what? That guy was right. The Kevin that walked in that office was a victim, and that just wasn't me. And he reminded me of who I really was. And then when I remembered who I was, I remembered where my faith lied. I remembered where my morals were, how I was raised, and the champion that I was at one point in time. And I said, you know what? He ain't crazy. And that series of events that led to that point could only be explained to me as God's plan. That's the only thing I could think of. So I started taking that fenbendazole that day, and I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want them to commit me to a mental institution or something. Like I didn't want somebody to think that I was trying to commit suicide or something. I was still fighting. And certainly I didn't know the difference between a curative approach and a palliative approach or, anything like that. I just wanted to stay alive. And I didn't say anything to anybody, but we had already canceled all my appointments, for the future at Moffitt. Like we had already canceled my lab work. We already canceled next chemotherapy. They said, I'm not responding to chemotherapy. So they saved 2 treatments for me for the end of life care, and they weren't going to use them. So we canceled all my appointments, and sure enough, I was supposed to be dead like in a few weeks. And 6 weeks later, I was still alive, and I was kind of feeling pretty good. Like my energy had shifted, and I wasn't having some symptomatic issues that I was having before. And so we got a scan at that 6-week mark, and lo and behold, it revealed 50% less disease. And so 14 weeks later, from the time that I started, I was no evidence of disease. And so that kind of,
Yeah, unfortunately we got like about
might have to do a part 2.
Yeah, 3 or 4 minutes here. But so I know we're like talking. We can go a couple minutes late, but so basically when you had no evidence of disease, you took your treatments. You have kind of, I guess you said, I believe you use a term as a cocktail, right? Something that you have. It's not just that; it's in conjunction with your diet, nutrition, some medicine, I think too, right? With all that in. Is there a way we can kind of
so
get to that?
So
No. We need to hear the story.
Well, the crux of it, typically keep it going. Typically, you don't get the ingredients until you hear the story, because I think that it is somewhat of a faith-driven story. Yeah. But it's important to know that the science followed my faith. It wasn't the other way around. My faith brought me to this, and the science just so happened to be a lucky coincidence. And all of the things that I put together have been clinically proven through Western medicine. So I'm not doing anything taboo. Everything that I take has had a clinical trial through Western medicine. And the difference between my protocol, the cocktail that I take, and other, listen, ivermectin is ivermectin. Fenbendazole is fenbendazole. The reason why it doesn't work the same for everybody is the application of it. The difference in my protocol, what sets my protocol aside from anybody else's, is 3 things. The frequency of taking it, the chronology of it, the amount that you're taking, and the catalyst that you pair it with for absorbency. It extends the life in your body. It allows it to absorb, and it covers the pathways that it needs to cover. So there's no magic feature about my protocol. The science is the science. What works for me is going to work for the same way, as long as we do it the right way.
Now, right now you have a big push, and I know you have a strong Facebook page. How do people learn about this, and how do they get in contact with you? Because that's key. And how does that process work?
So kevinhennings.com is the best way.
And I'm gonna put Kevin's name up here a little bit. kevinhennings.com. So that's an easy way to do that. Yeah. And then if you go to that Facebook page, are you directly in, if people start writing start reaching out to you, you can, because you told me you're about a full-time day with this now.
Yeah.
You stay up late and you push it.
So I respond about 18 hours a day. So
wow.
Yeah. So I leave time for my selfishness so I can invest in myself.
Yeah. Because
I have to win every day, just like everybody else, you know? And so I got to put in the work. I got to have to put in the work, whether or not I'm sick or not. I got to stay ready so I don't have to get ready, you know? So I dedicate the rest of the time to Kevin, and for 18 hours, I dedicate to everybody else. And you could get me on Facebook. Beating Cancer Today is the group page, or you could get on my website is kevinhennings.com. And I respond to people. It might take me, you know, a few hours or whatever, but I will get to you typically by the end of the day. And I have a pretty good following of people that.
It's Beating Cancer Today.
Beating Cancer Today.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get that. Now, let me ask you this. If somebody wants to get on the treatment, do you walk this through them, or walk through this with them? Is there fees? Is there any cost, or how does that all work?
No, I don't monetize this at all.
Right.
You know, I feel like this was put into my life, you know, in a very organic fashion. And I don't feel like anybody should have to pay to stay alive. This information is readily available. I didn't reinvent anything. I just so happened to be a damn good investigator. And I did the research, and now other people don't have to. Don't trust me, verify. I will provide you with the information that you need, and then you make your own decisions. I don't sell anything. You could go to my website. You could go to the Facebook page. Nobody should be selling anything. I'll give you the links to get it on Amazon. I'll give you the links to get it on the websites, you know, from the actual source. But nobody's going to exchange money or anything like that. There's too many scams. There's too many ripoffs.
Real quick on the medicine, veterinary medicine, and I can't pronounce all the names. Is that something you can get over the counter? Or does that need to be prescribed, or how do you get that? Everything
I take is over the counter.
Okay.
You could get it on Amazon, Tractor Supply, wherever. I have the links.
Okay.
If you go, because there's a lot of fake stuff out there too. So again, nothing's monetized. You get whatever you want to get, but I suggest that you get the same names, you know?
Right. And you got to have that guidance. I think that's what you want to do.
And I'll hold your hand. Yeah. I will walk you through it. Doesn't matter what kind of cancer you have. I don't address the cancer. I address the pathways. And, you know, it's a completely different way of addressing it.
Now, one other question. Do you have people that you've guided their way that were in a very similar situation as you that are now no evidence of disease as well?
Absolutely. And it's not 4 or 5. It's in the thousands. I would say tens of thousands.
Really?
Yeah. This is not, you know, it's not a mystery. There are more people that have had eradication of disease from an alternative method than they had from chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is going to kill everything, but it's going to suppress things and kick the can down the road. It's not going to eradicate your disease. You're going to pull it from the root. And by taking a metabolic approach, it's a more effective way. This is not rocket science, you know. You don't have to be Elon Musk to do this. You know, you're not splitting atoms here. There's something that fuels it. There's a way it travels, you know. So you just start eliminating things. You eliminate access. You choke it out. You know, you choke it out, and as a result, you're able to eradicate the disease through all 3 methods.
What's your future look like? I mean, do you have no evidence of disease? I'm sure you get checked frequently. I mean, what does your future look like? I mean, are you pretty comfortable that you've got this thing knocked down and it's not going to come back? Or I mean, there's never a 100% chance. How's your mentally? How do you feel about it?
Ain't no flies on me. Yeah. I can tell you that right now. I put in the work, and I will put in the work every day, and I will win every single day. This is not much different than, the approach to other diseases. You have to put in the work. And if you commit to this protocol and you're paying attention to your nutrition, your exercise, and the medicine, it's not a monodimensional approach or a singular approach. This is a multidimensional approach. You have to eliminate the energy source. You have to eradicate the cellular die-off so it doesn't find another source to feed on. You do that through exercise and nutrition. So some of the pathways aren't covered by medicine.
I was going to ask you from a diet standpoint. You mentioned before your diet went, real poorly. What does your diet consist of today?
Well, so there's an actual process where your body will feed on glucose, right? And your body chooses glucose over anything else. But in the absence of glucose, it'll start feeding on ketones. So cancer, like parasites, feeds on glucose. Okay. So when you eliminate the energy source, it has no alternative but to starve, unless there's cellular die-off that you're not getting rid of. Then it'll start eating the cellular die-off. And that's where the exercise comes in. So you starve it with the nutrition. You eradicate it with the exercise. You kill it with the medicine. It's a multidimensional approach. And one is equally as important as the next.
Yeah, amazing. A lot of very good information. Meredith throws up their sugar's horrible. But I think that combination of everything that you have, and if you have I guess you said the cocktail, the way to eliminate this from you, hey, we want to hear about it. Anything we can to try to help out. And we all know cancer sucks, right? So it's somebody who's been impacted directly from my standpoint. Is I haven't had cancer, knock on wood. My daughter's mother passed from it. So
wait, listen, let's talk about something. I know you got to go. No. So let me just give you a little bit of eye opener here. The average lifetime risk of developing cancer for all Americans, the lifetime risk, 1 out of 2 for men. So
that's
what's 1 out of 2?
1 out of 3 for women. All right. So
what's the source on that?
This is Google. You could Google that. ChatGPT it. Don't take my word for it.
Well, not everything right now Google's correct either.
Yeah, that's true. But conversely, it's actually the American Cancer Society.
Okay.
And you know how great of a source they are. Look at their diabetes suggestion for diet. So you're right. There are a lot of fake things, no matter what the source is.
But 1 out of 2 is obviously something that's it's basically if there's
so me or
two,
you.
One of me us or you.
Cancer.
Kev's already had it, so hopefully he doesn't get it bad. But
But listen to this though.
Hold this sugary coffee.
Yeah.
So just in 2025, 2 million cancer cases will be diagnosed just in 2025. So if you're wondering what that is, though, in the length of time of this podcast, this is a 1 hour podcast.
2 hours.
Two total. Yeah,
okay. So just in 1 hour, 71 people will die in the U.S. From cancer. Just during the time that it's taken to talk about it.
152 or 150.
Yeah.
Well, nearly 150.
234.
Unfortunately, cancer is such a big business too. You know.
234 cancer
they really
will be diagnosed in this hour.
Promote a cure for cancer when it's such a big business in the U.S., right? So,
Well, imagine this. Imagine your whole life you were raised Christian.
Yeah.
And you studied the Bible. You lived your life by the Bible. And that's all you know is the Bible.
Uh-huh.
And then somebody comes to you and tells you it's phooey. It was all fake. And it was all misleading. Would you be defensive about it? I think you would. I think it's human, right? Well, that's what we're doing to these doctors. We're going to them and they live their life to this.
Yeah.
And
there's many great doctors, obviously.
Yeah. And when you tell them that what they know is silly, they get offended a little bit, Absolutely. So I'm not throwing stones. Like I said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my doctors, but I just think that there's other options. And you know what? Conversely, my protocol is not the end all be all.
No, you're right.
No, and you said that right up front.
Yeah, there's so many options, but just synergistically, this protocol is super effective, So and once more, I'll hold your hand. and I'll walk you through it. We'll battle this together because I didn't really have a big cheerleading section when I was sick.
We got to run, though. Greatest UFC fighter of all time. Oh,
John Jones.
That's been the consensus.
Tito Ortiz.
We had Tito Ortiz here last week.
Oh, yeah?
Studio,
Yeah. He's an amazing guy too. Here
Tito loves Tito Ortiz.
You can go. He's got a great canteen up in
Cape Coral.
So there's that. But listen, we don't want to stop, but we got to stop because we've been here super long. Listen, we had a lot of people watching. Thank you to Victoria, Redstall, Kevin Hennings. Great information. This is amazing. We're going to take this out with one of our favorites. I can't say, always our favorite, but we got Relentless Hope taking us out with down there. Here we go.
The hustle is hard, but the rewards are sweet. Every challenge that we meet, we refuse defeat. We got that sun on our